Evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 19th, 2022 meeting of the Swampscott Zoning Board of Appeals, which is in a hybrid fashion that's permitted pursuant to the Governor's June 16th, 2021 order. It now being after 7 p.m., we'll get started with our agenda. The first matter for the board is the review and approval of the June 21, 2022 meeting minutes that were circulated. Any comment on those, or could I make a motion to approve? I should just note first who's with us online, right? Andy's here and Paul is here online.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, this screen's not on. Usually I have this screen too.
Oh. Ethan, are you able to toggle that? The front screen?
Thanks so much. That was it?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, well, what did happen? This one here went out though now.
Oh, no,
There we
it's back
go,
on.
they're back. All right,
Live.
all right. So, I'll make a motion to approve the June 21, 2022 meeting minutes. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
I'll do a roll call. I'm a yes. Dan?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
And Andy?
Yes.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is petition 2206 for 80 Middlesex Avenue, continued from May. Is Ms. Simon here on that, or, let's see, I think, I see a mute on that one.
I'm here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm here. Hi, good. My reception is a little spotty, so I apologize.
Right, okay, so I saw since the last meeting, you submitted a plan that showed, or a sketch that showed the new front porch roof, right?
Yep,
And is that the only, I saw there's two different on, it looked like there were two different plot plans, or maybe it's the same one.
One just has a clearer outline
Oh,
of the stoop.
okay, but it's the same one, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I can get,
yeah, it's only one drawing.
okay, so,
So that drawing, the drawing unfortunately, it doesn't show the distance from the front lot line to the,
overhang,
to the, I guess,
Roof?
the edge of the stoop, or what's called the stoop. Because that's the, we need to know that. Because, the house is,
Yes, my understanding was that the previous drawing, the previous plot plan, I mean, because it's that front porch, it doesn't change. So that front porch is the existing structure. The
Right.
roof is the new piece.
right. so
And it
one-
doesn't extend any further than the existing porch, which was the reference to 2.3.6.0. Let me see, there's Romanets here. I guess it's a little 2, indicating that the request does not seek to extend the footprint of the structure any closer to the relevant lot line than currently exists.
Yeah, but when you put a roof, on
The
top.
roof doesn't
change.
extend, the roof does not extend it. But the roof does not extend the footprint.
No, but putting the roof on top of a porch without a deck, without a roof, the porch is one thing. When you put the roof on the porch, that's where you change the dynamic that
So-
we're talking.
Right,
so, but I wanted to have a discussion about this. I
But it
know
doesn't
that's,
change the foot,
she's right, it doesn't change the footprint. And what I wanted to, we've spent a lot of time since we got the opinion, back in November of '21 from Robin Stein that referenced the Belalta case. And, my thought was, why is it different than these other matters where we've looked at the analysis under Belalta, that arguably our bylaw extends further than what 40A Section 6 allows us to. And I'm thinking that, Belalta, as Robin said to us in her memo, the statute requires an owner of a single or two-family residential building with a pre-existing nonconformity proposes a modification that is found to increase the nonconforming nature of the structure. That's what we have here. It's clearly increasing the nonconforming nature of the structure. To obtain a finding under 48 Section 6 that such change, extension, alteration shall not be substantially more detrimental than the existing nonconforming use to the neighborhood. And then she went on citing the case that 48 Section 6 creates a statutory requirement that sets the floor for appropriate protections from local zoning bylaws to be afforded to properties, and as such, the statute prescribes the minimum of tolerance that must be accorded to nonconforming uses. The bylaw may not afford fewer protections to pre-existing nonconforming structural uses than does the governing statute. And then Attorney Stein, she went on about that particular analysis we asked her to do on 53 Puritan, that it was her opinion, notwithstanding that on its face, section 2.2.7.3b appears to require the property owner to obtain a dimensional special permit or variance pursuant to 48 Section 6, no such relief is or can be required where, as here, what is at issue is the alteration of an extension, is the alteration or extension of an existing nonconformity. In my opinion, and this is in the other case, all that is required, if anything, is a Section 6 special permit, a finding. And in that case, she went on that the board should first evaluate the relevant work to determine if it is increasing the nonconforming nature of any existing nonconformity, which here it is. If the zoning board finds in the negative, which we're not here, no relief is necessary. If the zoning board finds there's an increase in the nonconforming nature of any existing nonconformity, then the board may grant a Section 6 special permit upon its determination that the change is not substantially more detrimental than the existing nonconformity to the neighborhood. So, she gives us the analysis when we're dealing with the nonconforming single or two-family, that the first is to make a determination if there's an increase in the nonconforming nature of the existing in the existing nonconforming structure, then if there isn't, no relief is necessary. If there is an increase in the nonconforming nature, then it's a Section 6 special permit analysis. So I've become conditioned to these unroofed porches that are nonconforming to immediately just rely on the precedent we've set with this board.
But Mark,
Yeah,
the difference is that the porch is not conforming just because, if it's an open stairs, you can have stairs in the front yard.
but
It's the fact that you roofed it.
I get that, but when you look at the Peralta case in detail,
The house is set back 16.7 from the street.
right, but
And
the stoop itself is a structure. Our bylaw provides that the stoop doesn't count on the setback, right, for dimensionally,
Right?
but the stoop is still considered a structure. And the stoop, but for our bylaw that permits it, would still be considered a structure and would, looking at it from a 48 Section 6 analysis, I believe, be considered part of the structure and so let me just tell you about what it says specifically in Peralta, because it does reference the way it describes it in Peralta is a modification that is found to increase the nonconforming nature of the structure. So it doesn't say, is the stoop part of the structure? And is it therefore increasing the nonconforming nature of it?
But Mark, the deck is like, if you calculated the open space, right?
Yeah.
The deck would not be counted
Yeah,
as, but if you then put a roof on it, so all of a sudden, someone theoretically could build a porch all the way around their house, 1 foot from the property line, in every direction,
yeah, and then roof.
okay? And then come back, and you'd say, well, it's a structure, it's non-conforming, and the house is in the middle with the right sidelines, side yards, and setbacks. But then they come back, and they put a roof over all the porch that they had that encircle the house, and you'd say, oh, okay, that's fine then. And it would obliterate the side yards and setbacks.
So, on that Puritan Way, 53 Puritan that we had that second floor storage room over what had been a roof but an enclosed porch located at the front left corner of the dwelling, right? And there was the building commissioner determined that the said work resulted in an increase in the nonconforming nature of the existing nonconforming lot coverage and the front yard setback deficiencies. And then he went
Because
on.
it's roofed. It's roofed, it's a building, et cetera. That's the difference. The roof puts it into being calculated in lot coverage, et cetera.
Right, I get the lot coverage, that's a good point. You know, I wanted to really just,
And remember, on that Puritan Road case, there was also the amendment of the bylaw's definition of a gross floor area, which made a big difference in that
it
case.
did make a difference, right?
Because all of a sudden, that roof didn't count anymore, because it didn't
Yeah.
increase the
Can
gross.
I also add that literally every house on my block has a porch with a roof over it, except for mine.
Yeah,
It would have zero impact on any of the other factors that are listed under the special permit. It doesn't impact traffic, it doesn't impact the aesthetic appearance, none of the neighbors mind about it, it doesn't impact utilities, it doesn't impact anything.
right, I don't,
And
if
visually,
if
it's
the
a
analysis,
feature.
if the analysis is as I was discussing under this Peralta case, I don't expect that there would be any issue with getting a finding from our board that it is not substantially more detrimental. The question is whether or not it applies, whether this Peralta case controls. What I, quite frankly like to do is to get an opinion from town council, just to see if we're missing something on it or not missing something on it. We get a lot of these, and we've decided them a certain way, and I understand Andy makes an excellent point, and that's kind of what,
Yeah,
is
because
the
we'd be
distinction.
reading that 2382 right out of the bylaw.
right, but simply because Peralta says that your bylaw can't go this far, and I'm just wondering if it applies to,
I think then we'd have to be very careful about letting anybody build anything, an open deck.
if,
No, all
right, but that's what I'm saying, if we get an opinion now,
Yeah.
and we find out if, because this is something that we have all the time, we have,
Yeah.
we
Well,
have,
she's right about everything that she's saying, that it makes sense.
it seems very reasonable, but it's,
Yeah,
I would
Andy's
also
point,
add
right,
that this
Andy's
was
point,
not
we're
a new
not
deck.
gonna
This
allow
was an
decks anymore in the
deck.
setbacks.
yeah,
Yeah, you
But
can't
this
do
was an
that.
existing
Yeah, we
deck.
won't do that
This has
anymore,
been there
because they
since
can
we-
just roof it.
This is a deck that has been there since we purchased the house.
Yeah.
I get that,
And
but we haven't allowed one of
It's been there
these,
long before that, I know.
this time, we haven't allowed one of in the 20 years I've been on the board, Dan 20+, we haven't allowed these. In late 2021, town council, in a different case, gave us an opinion that part of our bylaw might extend too far. The question I have is the distinction between the facts of that case and the facts of this case, which Mr. Rose has pointed out. And I think it's worthwhile at this time just to get an opinion to see if we have the jurisdiction to give you the relief you're looking for.
Can I ask one question too? The plot plan looks like there's the stoop, and then the staircase is in front of the stoop, it jogs out, but the images look like it's straight across. You know what I'm saying? So I'm guessing which one it is. Am I not just, it's hard because it's one of those 2D images, but you know what I'm saying? See how that like jogs the step?
Yeah.
They look
Can I
like
see it
they're-
again on the
Yeah.
bigger?
Looks like the steps are even more in front of the stoop. But the pictures, it looks smooth across.
Right. Right, and it's not giving us the dimension on the
yeah.
distance as
So do your
well.
steps bump in front of the stoop, and does the roof go all the way to that edge, or does the roof stop in the area that says stoop on the plot plan?
Well, according to the rendering, it looks like it goes all the way to the edge on the rendering.
Right, it looks like it
Because
covers
you
more
can
than.
see the posts, you see the posts that support the railing in the front. Looks like it's in line with the edge of the very right edge of the stairs.
It looks to me like, you know, you can't tell right if the stairs being
Sorry, what is
moved.
that?
Are the
What is
stairs,
the question with respect to the location of the stairs?
are they being moved back closer to the
No.
house? They're staying
No.
right where they are?
No, the stairs are exactly where they are.
So the plot plan shows the stairs versus the drawing, which makes it look like it's straight across. There's actually a jog in the front line of that
Mhm.
porch.
Trying to think from above.
We
I
can
don't
put it
think
up
that
on the
there
board.
is.
Marissa, do you have the plot plan
This one?
that's the one? This-
Floor plan looks more consistent with the photograph, with the street view.
Yeah,
Oh, so that looks like it a little different than the one.
Yeah, the plot plan looks more consistent.
So, yeah, right, the picture looks different because it looks like it goes straight across as opposed to having that jog.
What jog are you talking about?
See how the stoop,
The jog below the P, the notch out at where the P is, it looks like the railing, you know, the railings in line
yeah.
with the
Oh, I
front
see.
of the
Picture
stoop, it
goes
goes
straight
straight
across.
across.
I see, yeah,
yeah, it doesn't appear to be consistent.
I see.
Do you understand, Ms. Simon, the
Yeah,
difference between the
yeah.
rendering?
the rendering is the way that it's currently structured.
So I guess the question
So,
is,
so the stoop doesn't have the notch.
Right,
so that's, is it that the stairs have moved back closer to the house, or is it
stairs,
that?
no,
that's-
the stairs are where they are, they're a little bit, I guess the stairs are wider, so they go closer to the house. There used to be, so before the porch was rebuilt, because it was made out of, stone, and the stonework was crumbling, so when they rebuilt the stairs now run all the way up to the house. They don't extend further towards the street, but they do run closer to the house.
Okay,
Instead of there being,
and that corner has been filled in, that jog's been
Yeah.
filled in.
yeah,
Okay, so there's new steps. So the street view photograph that I'm looking at isn't what exists now. Is
I
that- I'm so,
I don't see that.
okay, so I see the street view photograph, which is the old brick stairs.
That's
Um,
right.
Okay, and then, so now you've got new stairs and a new deck made
Yeah,
out
it
of
was
wood.
rebuilt in the same location. Yeah, it's not brick anymore, now it's composite.
Sort of, the slope's different for the stairs, right?
Yeah,
Okay, got you.
So that looks a little bit, that looks like the survey photo. It looks like there is a notch.
Yeah, we can't really see, but, oh yeah, there's the bushes blocking it.
But it looks
behind
like
it.
right there to the bushes is where it
Yeah.
goes.
So it's
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
been extended, so then, you know what I mean, it's already been extended into that notch.
Right. So there's what Dan's saying, your bracket creeps. So before the porch was back, and you put a roof over that, then you slide it out so it's parallel with the steps. Couple of years, you come back, you can put a roof over that. Then maybe you'll build the steps, you know, in front of the steps. Have a platform, and then you can say, I'll put a roof over that.
Right, but Andy, here's the argument under, you know, what I see under Belalta. So if you have a pre-existing nonconformity, not something that's been permitted by the ZBA, so if we gave a special permit, it's permitted. But if you built this, if this structure, say it was built in 1910 with those stairs, where they are, what Belalta says is that 48 Section 6 protects that. If it pre-existed changes to your zoning bylaw, and you can make changes so long as you make that that special permit finding, that section 6 special permit
But
finding.
Mark, look at the picture of the stairs. And then now that notch is filled in.
Right, she would need proof, the petitioner would need proof to show that those were in that location, going back to a date before, either Swampscott adopted zoning.
No, but what the plan shows now is not even that, because the notch is now filled in.
Well, if the
We
notch is,
received a permit to build the porch previously.
Right, when it was a porch, but when you change it and put a roof on it, that's where you changed what it is. It's not a
right, but
porch.
if she got a building permit, with a set of plans to fill in the notch,
But you can get a building permit to build a deck
yeah, right.
1 foot from the property line in all 4 squares of your lot. And then you're telling me I'm gonna be able to come along and
Look to cover it
put a
over.
roof on it?
Well, I think what
Like no
Peralta
zoning.
says is that if it was a pre-existing non-conforming use protected by 40A Section 6, but this isn't what you have here, because it's permitted. If you have the ability to get the permit to fill in the notch, it's therefore,
And we had
it's
originally
not
hoped
protected.
to actually extend the front porch out further, but when we got the original permit to rebuild the porch, we were told that we had to keep it at the same line as where this porch that you're looking at here exists, which we did. We did not extend further towards the street, but we did fill in that notch.
Right, but Andy, could you build that, I'm trying to think of what, there is a dimensional protection, a setback, that would
No,
impact this.
the determinant has always been, the roof makes it
Yeah,
a structure that's covered in square footage calculable in all the different, gross floor area, this, that, and everything else, when you put a roof on it, as opposed to not having a roof on it.
right, but I think the distinction that I'm
not
talking
opposed
about,
to this, but I don't see how you're granting it without throwing the bylaw in the dustbin.
well, I don't think this is the one for it, but I think if we were looking at the structure that was clearly there that pre-existed zoning, and there was a non-conforming change that was looking to be made, we'd have that substantially more detrimental analysis, but here, it's
Okay.
not that pre-existing non-conforming structure.
Because it is conforming.
Yes,
I just wanted to make sure you guys got your attention down to the 2.3.6.5, kind of down the bottom where it says the percentage limitations contained in section 2.3.6.5
yeah,
shall not apply to any project described in application for dimensional special permit prior to being filed with the town clerk. It basically, what it says to me is that they can expand over an existing structure as long as they don't go beyond the structure. And then, if you look up the definition of a structure, a platform is a structure in the definitions of our bylaws.
right, I remember when this change happened, and we had that limitation, and it hasn't been raised about that time frame. But this is, I think that's a very good point. So we adopted it, but it's saying, okay, if any project described in an so if the relief, or an application dimensional special permit, but
Yeah, I mean,
but that was, you would have needed a dimensional special permit at the time, that it was filed before 2009. Here, it was just a building permit without zoning relief.
see, one thing's that's entirely clear from this conversation is that the Lalta case, this is complicated stuff. This is confusing,
It is.
okay? This is confusing stuff. So I can tell you right now, I'm not prepared. when I came in here today, I didn't think that this would apply, I didn't have you thought about BROUGHTON in the context of
And
this,
I just thought
this
about it,
situation.
I brought it up the last
To me, it's a
May.
slippery slope that I'm not prepared to go down, because I don't know if we do this here and say, you can put a roof on this.
Yeah, no,
Under,
I'm
under
not,
BROUGHTON, I don't know, that could implicate, many other provisions that we throw out, this ordinance, which is 2.3.8.2, becomes, then we don't know what it means.
yep,
I can only imagine there's probably other ordinances that'll be, called into question. I'm not prepared to go down that road.
Well, what?
And maybe not even with town council, because let's face it, town council is just a lawyer's opinion.
it's just an opinion.
Well,
That's all it is.
Once there's a roof on something from that same case, once the roof is there, we've been told they can build a story on it, and they can enclose it.
If, so long as it's not substantially more detrimental, so let's say you
Right.
put a roof on this, and then you wanted to put a second floor
A second
thereafter,
floor.
you'd have
Or
to
you
come
want
back
to close it
here.
in to make it like,
Right, but you still have to come back, if that were the case, so if it were permitted, that we had if we had the jurisdiction, and I'm saying it's a big if, nobody here is agreeing to
The
that
question
yet.
in front of you is just the question of this roof. We're not talking about what could happen in the future, which would also have to come before this board. We haven't gotten there yet, so I don't think it's fair to make a decision at this stage based on some future question that I don't have any intention of ever asking.
But Simon, if you just bear with me for a minute, it's not that we're trying to pick on your petition, I just told you, we haven't done this in 20 years. So,
And we were pretty clear at the last, I think it was it last month
May
this
that
was
we've
on?
said it
We were
could
pretty
be-
clear as to what the concern was
in
at the
that,
first meeting.
we could give it the
So I was surprised to see the plan that we got after what we had discussed in May.
and when I saw the plan, that's what got me thinking a bit last night about the Peralta case and whether it applies to this. And I'm still confused by the case. And but to your point, my interpretation on a Peralta type special permit would be if the board made a finding that it was a change that was permitted because it was not substantially more detrimental than the existing nonconformity, that blesses that change. Any other change, you're gonna come back, and it's that same analysis, is it substantially more detrimental? But what below, Andy's point is really good,
I
that,
want to make a point, I
Whether
want
or
to
not-
address, Mark, I want to address Heather's point.
yeah,
If this had a roof over this porch, it was there now, and she was looking for a second story, we could do that because we've already established that it's part of the footprint by
Yeah.
having the roof over the porch below. So it's, the second story wouldn't trouble me, albeit, I don't know, we're not talking about it here, but the concept of putting a second story, because the roof, when you roofed it, you made it into the calculation covered a footprint. We're changing the definition of how we've historically commented on footprints. We're throwing out the 20% dimensional special permit, because everybody can go over, if their stairs are within, the thing's set back 16 feet from a 20-foot setback, and then you got another set of stairs that protrude out 10 feet coming down, which you can do. Now you can build on top of that because those stairs are there. I mean, I'm with Dan. We just threw half the bylaw out. Maybe
right, but I
correct.
think a bit of the distinction is, what I was trying to point out is there's a difference between a pre-existing nonconformity that predates zoning, 48 section 6, and a permitted change, which is not a pre-existing, it's still,
And this
It's
addition,
conforming.
this new deck is a permitted, it's not a pre-existing. The new deck is new, right?
well, if the front stairs here were changed, and there was a
Which they
building,
have.
there was a building permit that was granted for them, and if there was a determination made that zoning relief wasn't required, there's still the issue of, could there be a zoning challenge on that? I've got that case in another jurisdiction where we've got a conversion of a structure to a house, and that was done with the building permit, and we're looking for enforcement for the building inspector to find that it needs to go.
But,
Well, I
hey,
guess
Mark,
The one thing, oh, wait, real quick,
Mark.
the pre-existing non-conforming, would you say the stoop is non-conforming? It's conforming, right? Because it doesn't have a roof, they can build a deck anywhere they want.
They, subject to the limitations that we have in our bylaw that say, I mean, I don't even know how close this stoop is because it doesn't show on the plan.
Right.
So our projecting eaves, chimneys, bay windows, balconies, open and enclosed fire escapes and light projections which do not project more than 5 feet from the line of the foundation. This looks like it goes more than 5 feet, right? And unenclosed steps, unroofed porches and the like, which do not project more than 10 feet beyond the line of the foundation. I don't know if it's 10 feet or not. Need not comply with the yard regulation otherwise provided for the district in which the structure is built, provided that a 5-foot setback from all sides and rear property lines
Right.
is maintained. I don't know from
Yeah, we don't have the
plan
measurements, yeah.
whether or not what's there existing is.
most likely it's 10 feet. It's within it's probably about 10 feet. If the 16.7 is the bay window,
Yeah,
you know, the stairs are probably 4 feet wide, you know.
but it doesn't, the survey plan doesn't show us, prove that it is.
Then, Mark, but also, Mark, you're saying that, okay, that's the non-conforming, but then they permitted that notch, which would
Yeah.
make it non-conforming. We couldn't have the roof go over the notch, because that's what you're saying doesn't count, you know, a permitted addition as opposed to a non-conforming. So she couldn't have the notch.
Right, but if she couldn't have it, but there was a building permit that issued, that doesn't mean that the zoning board is bound to then further the nonconformity, which shouldn't have been permitted by permitting
Right.
it.
That's what we'd be furthering a non-conformity. Yeah, okay. We're not going anywhere on this tonight.
No, I think
And
we
the
need,
house too, it's worth mentioning that the house appears to be unique. It's different from the other houses on the street, significantly different. And, you know, I don't know about those other houses that have porches in them, you know, when they were built, or whether they were, had those porches on there originally. It looks like it. With this house, the design of the house significantly is unique compared to the other houses on the street.
Based on the research that we've done, all of the houses on our block were built in about the same 10-year period, including our house, which is about 1895.
mhm.
Our house, I know, has gone under a number of different renovations, including the exterior. There was a fire at some point, I understand, in the 70s, well before I lived there. And so, you know, there's been some structural changes to the exterior as well as the interior. I don't know whether there was a covered porch at one point. My understanding is that there may have been actually even a wraparound porch at one point, according to one of the neighbors. Obviously not in my tenure of living there, which we purchased the house in 2013, and it's looked like what you see in this photograph since we purchased it, until we, you know, the masonry began to crumble and we had no choice but to fix it.
So, I mean, I'd like to, I know Andy thinks that the answer's gonna be no, but I'd like to hear what Robin Stein has to say about Peralta as it applies to this.
We've been in this circle now for just to, you know, kind of play upon your sympathies to the extent that and I understand that you're trying to work within the confines of law and where you see things could potentially slip on a slippery slope. But, you know, I beg of you to consider the position of the homeowner, where we have now been under construction with this. You know, we've been seeking the proper permits. We've been asking people to provide us with whatever information we need to bring to you to ensure that we can get this over the finish line for over a year. and every time we come back, there's some other question that needs to be answered. It's gone on a really long time. I mean, this is costing me enormous amounts of money. I've got a pile of lumber in my front yard. My neighbors at this point, you know, I know postcards went out to the neighborhood to see if anyone would be concerned if we did put this construction in place. There was no comments received from any of our neighbors. In fact, what I hear from my neighbors is that they would like our, you know, pile of lumber to be out of our front yard, which I would too. And I would like that to be in the roof, which would then conform with what the rest of the structures in my neighborhood look like. And there have been other structures built in our neighborhood that I think run awfully close to the line of what should have been permitted. And yet they are there, and this seems to be like, you know, a bit of a tempest in a teacup. So,
Ms.
you know,
Simon.
what can you help me with here? Am I gonna come back next month after a year and a half where I've been told repeatedly, okay, just get us this one more thing and we'll be able to move this forward, and then I'm gonna be told all this time I've wasted all this money and time? I mean, thousands of dollars I'm in here at this point.
Ms. Simon, thank you. I'm going to read from you our minutes from the meeting from May 24th, okay? Third line says, after your contractor explained the relief being sought, was T.J. Hutchings, the board explained that relief can only be granted up to 16 feet and not beyond. Additionally, they would like to see sketch of overhang. You presented to us a plan. It doesn't show the overhang being 16 feet from the front yard setback. So that's what we asked for in May, okay? I've took it upon myself to see if I could find another way that you might be able to get this relief, okay? But what we asked for in May isn't what we received. So I'm gonna take exception with that, you know, we're sending you on a wild goose chase. We definitely can give you relief 16 feet from the front yard setback, because we do that regularly. It's what I see as extraordinary relief that we haven't granted in 20 years, that I've been on the board, and Dan's been on the board, and Andy's been on the board, to permit a covered porch within the setback beyond the 20% dimensional special permit authority that we have to grant. So I'm trying to find a way, and there's a lot of concern because it would be an extraordinary change. I'm sorry it's happening on your petition, but if you want that relief for what we've done for 20 years, which is to give you 20% from the setback requirement being 16 feet from the property line, we can do that. We don't have a plan as we asked for that shows it, but that's all I see that we can do. I'm willing to ask town council to see if there's another way for us to do it, but I can't do it without, you know,
Hey, Mark.
more. Yes, Andy.
Mark, essentially, if you look at the picture of the house with the, you know, shown with the stone steps, if you ran across, if you took the roof line that's there and ran it all the way across, you could have a covered, covered landing spot, but the stairs will not be covered. The stairs won't be covered, but you'd have an
It would
overhang.
be like about a foot. It would, I mean, it's like an umbrella would cover me more.
Look, 16, you can go 16 feet, but I'm saying you're 16.7 from the property line to the foundation. So, you know, that's 16, I was just saying, that's what you can run across with your soffit, etc. And, you know, but the stairs don't get covered under the zoning bylaw as we've interpreted it, or as it's written today, unfortunately.
Well, I beg of you to check with town council on this. I mean, to grant permission for a 6-inch roof is absurd.
See, we need it, it's a real concern for us as to what we do, because lawyers come before this board all the time, and and if we do something extraordinary, they will point to that, and they say, well, you did that here, and we set a precedent. So we have to be careful with our decisions, for that reason.
I am a lawyer, so I do understand the concept of precedent, and I understand the concerns that are being put here. I also understand I'm struggling to understand how the last provision of the paragraph that I sent along doesn't exempt it with respect to stairs, and that the stairs, you know, per the definitions within the ordinance, do seem to qualify as a structure. So I guess, we are viewing this differently. I understand that the interpretation of the ZEA may have been different than the way that I'm setting it forth. I don't think that it necessarily throws the entire ordinance into the trash the way that you're describing it, but, I respectfully defer to the town council. It's all I seem to be able to do here, but,
Well, I'd like to get that opinion, and if you want to submit something to town council in support of your position, you're welcome to do that. Does anyone have any objection to me asking town council for an opinion on this?
No,
I
I think
don't.
we need these measurements, though.
And I think we do too. I think town
I
council's
think
gonna.
measurements need to be on there.
We
be
need,
very explicit in terms of what it is. I mean, understanding that we obtained the first plot plan prior to the construction, or the reconstruction of the porch. Obtaining another plot plan will cost me another $5,000.
No, it won't.
It
That's-
will, and it did.
I don't know if you can go back to that first person who already did the plot plan and just get a measurement from that front of your porch to the
I
property
think
line.
that plot plan I see that you've got 6-2 on the date, but that plot plan was submitted significantly earlier. It was last year. So I think at this point, they would probably consider the timing to have run. They would need to come back out again. As a result, perhaps of the pandemic and everyone being stuck in their house and sick of seeing the same four walls, construction resources are incredibly tight. These surveyors, many surveyors, the only reason I was able to get a surveyor was by pulling strings and trying to get some favors. Many of them are unavailable, period. And so I apologize for the background music here. But these things aren't, it's not a small thing, and it is extremely expensive.
Well, the problem is you're asking for relief in the front yard setback, but there's no measurement to tell us how much relief you're even asking for. So it's impossible to make a determination.
And the requirements in our regulations, as to what's required for the application, that it should show, that dimension, the setback. You're asking for, it shows the cutout. It doesn't show what's there, that I understand it's there currently.
It was the plot plan that was submitted before we got the permit to rebuild the porch.
So
what you're saying now is that you need another plot plan created so that we can demonstrate the contours of the current porch.
well, you should have a plot plan for the building permit.
$4,000 for another plot plan. I just want to be very clear as to what it is you're asking me for, because I do feel like I appreciate your position, and I appreciate that that you feel that you've been clear with me, but it doesn't feel that way to me. So if you're asking me to go get another plot plan, I am now on the hook to go spend another $4,000 to get another plot plan. But I would like to know that that is what you need from me, and I have to weigh and balance. I mean, I'm $10,000 in, I've got a half-constructed porch.
Well, I guess that is something you have to weigh. I mean, I don't think you need a whole new plot plan. I think you just need someone to come and tell you those dimensions and add it to the plot plan.
I mean,
The person
I have
who did this
four.
one, the person who did
we
this
need,
one.
what we need is the distance from the front lot line to the stoop, to what is called the stoop, which
Well,
is
the
that line along the right edge of the stairs. We need to know how far is that from the,
Property
Does
line.
this need to be
Front lot.
does this need to be performed
and I
by
thought that
a
was clear from the
surveyor?
May. I thought we made that clear from May, that we needed to know that.
Yes, we needed to show that we wanted to see it shown.
And then
And I
and then a
apologize.
side view
I
rendering.
did go back and forth with Marissa Mimi, and I don't mean to put her in a difficult position. She was nothing but lovely, but I did go back and forth and ask her when I sent over the rendering, is this everything that you need? And I have the emails. I heard, yes, this is what we need. I don't need anything else. I spoke to the building inspector. He told me the same thing. Yes, this is what we need.
Well, it's hard. We're just finding out now that the shape isn't the same as what's there. I don't think Marissa would have any way of knowing that the plot plan you submitted
Right.
wasn't the current,
I mean, how do you?
How could you know that?
You base an approval or an understanding on this, and then in the time between that, then we add and build something else. I mean,
So can I chime in for 1 second? The original permit that we pulled to get the deck replaced talked about.
Could I first have you identify yourself? I can't see who's there. I don't know who it is. I have to make a record of the meeting.
Sorry, this is TJ Hutchings.
Hi.
So when we pulled the original permit to replace the masonry steps with the deck, we talked about removing that notch. That was existing. And as
Do we
long
have
as
a
we.
plan that, do we have a plan that has those dimensions? When you replace the deck and replace the stairs, did you have a survey showing the dimensions of, you know, the setback of the front of the stoop?
We didn't
We did
have
not have
to.
a second
The building
survey.
department did not require us to do that.
Okay,
So no, we did not do that.
okay.
So,
Mark, just real quick,
yeah,
I didn't issue the permit on this one, but typically when we're in a front yard setback, we only let them put back exactly what was there
yeah,
without coming to the board for relief, because it would have needed it. You know, just for your, like I said, we, as the building department, we usually only let them put exactly what was there. That's how we grandfather it. But I
Right.
did not issue this one, but I can look into the paperwork.
yeah, that'd be great. And I would have expected that I'd see the, you know, we don't have the building permit or the plans that were submitted as part of that, as part of your petition. So, you know, that makes it difficult as well.
And I think it's fair to say that, you know, because I know she's concerned about costs and spending more money on a plot plan. There's no guarantee that if we have this dimension and we
Yeah.
talk to town council, we come back, we're gonna say, oh yeah, build your roof. You know, the town council's advice could be, no, don't build.
Yeah, that we might not have authority.
Yeah, that we don't have that authority.
That
to
Bellotta
give that
case
relief.
doesn't apply to this. So if you want to wait before you spend any money, I'm going to ask tomorrow for town council to give us an opinion. I probably have within 10 days. And I'll keep you informed.
And even
Marissa,
just a
would-
rough idea of what that dimension is, you can go out with, I mean, it seems like something that
I don't, for Robin's analysis,
you won't need it.
she won't, because it's just a question, can we go beyond the 20% of a dimensional special permit? Does the Bellotta case apply to
Okay.
afford relief?
I'm looking at the application. It looks like I have the original application. Looks like it. And attached to that is a plot plan
Yep,
that has a slightly different, it's dated October the 6th of 2021, 2 days after the other one, October 4th, 2021. And
Yeah,
this one, it looks like someone added, there's 9.6 is indicated here. Do you guys have this one?
I don't have that one.
There's 9.6 with an arrow, and that's probably the dimension.
I can probably pull it up.
I just noticed this. So is that the one that's titled updated plot plan on the website, on the town's website?
It's,
There was
that
two,
one's,
there was
not-
plot-
yeah, that
there was-
one's plot plan, and then
Then
the
there was
one that
one
you
called
have.
updated.
Yes, the one that we have in front of us tonight is the updated plot plan.
Well, the one that was just up there is the October 4th one, I think.
Right. Oh,
Then
so,
October-
Can we see that updated one?
so the one that I had shared previously
Right, I got that one here.
is the
October
updated
6th.
one,
Yeah, that one.
even
Yeah,
though
that's
ironically,
That must be the updated one, right? Because
Hold on,
it's 2 days newer than the other one.
But it was
Yep.
submitted in Marissa's
Oh.
catalog, and it was submitted after, so for her, it's the updated one.
And I don't know who put these measurements, this typed in a 6.6 number and a 9.6.
so this one I have as the updated one, and then let me just
Right,
get
right,
the-
that's the original one, I guess. There's another one.
But, hey, guys, the bottom line is, if 16.7 is where the bay window, the front of the bay window,
Yep,
historically, we've only let that go to 16 feet. So essentially, that's the line of what you can have as an overhang covered. You can have the steps beyond that, but they would have to be uncovered. We've never been able to let someone fill in anything beyond that. And we've
Yep.
turned down oodles of people,
yep,
you know, over 7 inches, like on Bayview Drive. You know, it's
Yep.
16 feet is 16 feet. That's how far you're front stoop your front overhang can be, period. You know, the stairs have to be uncovered and have to, based on this notch plan, and half the stoop would be uncovered. That's just the reality of the way the house is set.
Right, because if we don't, if looking for more than the dimensional special permit, if that,
And if you go down Middlesex Ave, I'd venture to say that many of the houses that look like this, because you can see, if you look at the peak of the roof, either that bay window turret is an addition, because they would never, you look at the way that meets the crown of the roof. You know, there's been work done here, but the houses that have front stoops, the stairs are generally not covered. They're outside of the stoops.
so Ms. Simon, do you see this plan that,
I don't know what.
from May 3rd, that was filed? It's on the board? There's a 9.6 feet number. Do you know who put that on there? You're on mute.
That looks like the edge of the stairs.
I think we might have lost her.
I think she's trying to show us that something outside.
I think so, but I think she lost her connection.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the 9.6 mark is unless it is to where these stairs are. What else is that?
If you look at the picture, you know, with the stoop, you know, the aerial, and you
Yeah.
see with 16.7, logic would tell me that there's like another 7 feet
Yeah,
between the stairs and part of the deck. So the front of the stoop is at 9'6". We're not allowing a covered roof over 9'6". And then they decide, well, you know what, now I want to fill it in and make it a room.
yeah.
You know, we're out in the street.
Yep.
Because once they cover their thing, they can fill it in.
Mhm.
Let me give Ms. Simon another moment to see if she gets her connection back. And then we lost her.
She did look like she left her house.
Is Mr. Hutchings still here, or is he on the same line?
No, I'm still here.
So, we lost,
We were wondering if Miss
Simon.
Simon wanted to show us something outside. Looked like she had gone outside.
I don't believe she's in Swampscott tonight.
so, I think what we need to do is to continue this matter, but I've got to get the okay of the petitioner, but Mr. Hutchings, I believe you have authority to agree to a continuance.
I'm back now. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I was thrown off. What is the
Okay.
question? I'm now back.
Well, we were talking about this 9.6 number, the 6.6, and Mr. Rose was bringing up the point that we have absolutely never given that type of relief. We haven't given any relief to go beyond the 20% number in the setback. What I'd like to do is, only if you consent, to continue it for another month and get Attorney Stein's opinion. I don't know that that will be persuasive or not. I'd suggest you wait till you get that before you spend any more money on the project, to see what she says, whether we have authority or not.
And it's not
and if-
binding either. The opinion of town council is not binding. It's not a Supreme Judicial Court decision.
Right,
It's
it's
just
just
the
an
opinion of a
opinion.
lawyer. So any of the members of the board are free to agree or to
The
disagree.
door's open.
And you would need 4 members to agree with you to get your relief if it is a Section 6 special permit that you need. If it were merely a finding, which I'm sure it won't be, it would be less. It would be, I think it would be 3, but you
So,
need 4.
okay, so I guess I'm just trying to read the room here. I mean, I can't, I don't think I have any other choice but to say, yes, we should, you know, continue and ask for the opinion of town council. I'm sorry, I'm not clear on how many members at this point are in favor of this or not, or whether they would be persuaded by town council. It seems to me that, you know, there are at least a couple of you who are dead set against this for precedent purposes. So I'm wondering if this is, you know, does this exercise serve any purpose, or are you telling me right now that regardless of what town council says, you're not going to move in favor of this roof. I mean, I'm just trying to
Yeah, I think
figure out,
that's a fair
like,
question.
I don't wanna waste any of our time or money.
Yeah, no, that's a fair
Okay.
question. I can say that I probably, regardless of town council, would be, if they said, yes, you can increase the non-conforming, you know, a previous non-conformity, I would say that's what was existing before you extended the deck. So in that,
I would agree with
if
that,
town
too.
council did indeed say, yes, you can put a porch over a pre-existing non-conformity, a roof, I would say, okay, but that would not include that new portion that you added. So if without that new portion, you don't want to do it, then, then.
So you're saying that you would permit a roof absent the notch?
Right, which maybe aesthetically wouldn't make sense, so you would do sort of a roof that was not as, didn't come out all the way to the end of only came out as far as what was existing before you added to the porch.
Right.
Right, you can come out 3.3 feet from the,
No, she can only get to
So-
16, oh no. okay.
16 feet,
Yeah, that's right.
so just
Sorry.
about
Sorry,
a little bit more than where the bay window is.
right. A little bit more than that window. Right.
So, and I'm sorry, I'm just trying to understand and be very clear about this. So it seems to me that what I'm hearing is that if the town council says, yes, you can do this, that EBA would be willing to grant relief to permit a roof overhang up to where the previous porch, exclusive of the notch, existed, which would mean, probably, like, unless I wanted a T-shaped roof, and you understand the absurdity of that, but okay. I would have a slightly shorter roof.
I think it's still a bit premature for me to say. I really want to see what town council had to say. If you were looking for a vote tonight, my vote would be no, that we don't have the jurisdiction. I think it would be
Mark,
5-0.
I just am not feeling good with it conceptually. If in fact the stairs come out to 9'6", unless you went up and down the entire street and showed me that everybody was
Yeah.
10 feet off the front yard.
Right, you're not getting any more than that setback.
You're just blowing up the bylaw. Very sorry about.
Yep, and it's
It
much,
just-
you wouldn't be,
9'6" is like killing me. It's like, I just don't see it. That means everybody we give 20% to, and I'm not saying, I understand she's not doing it, but everybody that you give 20% to, then they go to 16 feet, and then they drop their stairs down, which brings it down to 10 feet, and then they go and roof it, and then they can fill it in, and it's like, why do we have setbacks?
yep,
I'm
the
just
next
not,
one.
I'm just not feeling the math of the
Well,
way that this.
it's, I mean, to be fair, it's a very fair question of why we have setbacks the way that we do in a densely populated town where, most of the structures were non-conforming when the ordinance was initially enacted. So,
I'm on
I
your
mean,
side.
I understand
Your
the purposes
side.
for new construction, but this is not.
I'm on your side, I understand, the variance is not sacrosanct for me, like it is for some of the lawyers on the board, because we're dealing with zoning bylaws that came after everything was built, not the other way around. And the variance gives you the ability to correct something that couldn't be all-inclusive. But I just don't, 9'6" setback covered, reducing the front yard in half is just not,
I'm gonna move it on.
I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah, I think though that we should just go through the exercise of getting the opinion from town council. I'd say don't do anything further on the project, Ms. Simon, until we get the opinion, and then, if we don't have any jurisdiction or authority to act, then it's gonna be a dimensional special permit at 20%, 16 feet. If we have more jurisdiction, then it's an analysis that the board would need to make if they agree with the opinion of town council. And I generally listen to that opinion of town council, but nobody is bound to do so. It's just one person's opinion.
All right.
But I'm only gonna do it if I have your agreement to continue the petition.
I mean, I don't see that I really have any other choice unless I plan on scrapping the whole project right now, so go ahead.
Okay, so I'll take that as your agreement that you'll sign a continuance. So what's our next meeting date?
Yes.
September, because the board is not meeting in August, so we are meeting September 20th.
I mean, okay. All right.
Okay, thank you. So I'll make a motion to continue the matter till September 20th. I'll keep you informed of what I receive from town council.
All right.
Okay, so I have a second on that motion?
Second,
I'm gonna do a roll call. I'm a yes. Dan?
yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So Marissa, maybe you can send the tape to Robin and ask her if she can give us an opinion on the issue.
Sure,
Okay, I'm sure she'll follow along the tape.
definitely.
All right, great. Thanks so much. Okay. So, the next matter on our agenda is 8 Dennison, 2211, now being, for Hanover Court LLC, and now being after 7 PM.
That's been continued to September?
Yep, that one's being
Oh,
continued.
that one's being continued,
Yep.
okay.
I have a signed form by Attorney Lynch, so I'll have to send that to you. I meant to print
Okay,
it out for your
so I'm
signature,
gonna make
but
a motion to continue 2211.
Yep.
To the September date. Do I have a second on that?
Second,
Roll call. So I'm a yes. Dan?
yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Okay, so the next one will be 24 Crossman, petition 2212, now being after 7:15 PM. Andrew Broughton's petition. Andrew, here?
Yep, we are here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so you want to tell us about your petition? I know we had one recently on, I think it was very similar, on Crossman.
Yep, we have Rob Clerk here as well. He's going to speak on our behalf.
Okay,
Hi, Rob Leclerc, I'm the builder on the project. We are looking for relief for an addition that we are looking to construct, and we are going in front of the board because the addition will be greater than 15% of the existing floor area of the existing house.
okay, let's see this second, get this one out. Give them my petition on that. Okay, is there anyone that is here to speak or ask questions about this petition? So if I could have your name and your address, and I could have you go to a microphone so that we can record it, that'd be great.
Yeah, Rick Dexter, 33 Crosman. I just want to send my support on this addition. It's just, adds value to the neighborhood.
All right, well, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wanted to address this petition? If you're at home, use the raise your hand feature.
check. Not seeing any hands raised from our Zoomers.
Okay, just want to look at this plan a little bit, I read this last night. Okay, so maintaining the same side yard setbacks, we have plenty of room in the back. Anyone on the board have any questions about this one?
That's pretty straightforward. just like the
Yep,
other
this
one.
is the, like the Balta, this is the Balta one that came up, Crossman before.
We did the other Crossman, was it basically the same thing.
It is the same. I can't remember if I did it or, I think, did,
Did an attorney do it?
yeah, but I'm sure we've got the decision. But it was, making a section 6 special permit that they're not substantially more detrimental. So hearing none on, anyone that wants to make a motion, I guess.
So we don't know who did that one? Or who did the previous?
I can't remember if, I think I may have done it, but it was Chris Drukas who wrote it, did a good job on the decision.
Oh, he did, Chris Lucas wrote that one?
Yeah. Do you interested in writing this one, or are you gonna do Pine
Yeah,
Street?
Yeah, just send me,
I'll do Pine Street, depending on how it goes. I'll send it to you if you want,
all right,
but I see this as substantially more detrimental. So first, let me make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second on that?
second,
So I'm gonna do a roll call, so I am a yes. Dan?
yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
And Paula?
Yes.
Okay. So Dan, make a motion.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the petition of Andrew Broughton for a special permit and a site plan special permit in connection with plans to construct a 2-story addition at the property located at 24 Crossman Ave. The addition to be built in substantial compliance with the plans that were submitted to the board.
I think you see the finding that it's not substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure.
Okay.
Okay, so, I'll second that motion. I'm gonna do, a roll call on it. Dan?
Yes.
I am a yes. Heather?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Okay, so you have your relief. Mr. Doherty will write a decision, will file with the town clerk. There's a 20-day appeal period. After that, you'll need to get a copy of it with a certification from the town clerk. You'll have to record that decision, bring it to the building inspector, and good luck with your project.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great night.
Thanks.
You too.
Yes.
Yeah, just send me that one and the other one, Mark.
Oh, it's the other Crossman, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I will, I'm around, so I will. Okay, the next matter is 2213, 55 Kensington, and now being up to 7:20 PM, it's petition 2213. Anyone here on that petition? Is anyone here for this petition?
Yes.
Oh, you're right here, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
So, are you, homeowner?
Yes, Paul Eddows.
All right. So can you tell us about the project?
Yes, we're planning on building a 12 by 16 foot deck on the west side of the property. It's got stairs leading down to the front yard that cover the whole width of the deck, and then a 4 foot wide staircase down to the bottom yard at the bottom of the house.
So it meets the side yard setback.
Mm-hmm.
It's over 16 feet on the front yard setback, which requires 20 feet. So you need a dimensional special permit for that front yard setback.
Correct.
You're okay on the rear yard setback. Your lot is insufficient for frontage with 54.4 feet where 80 is required. So you're asking for relief for 20% of that front yard setback.
That's right.
So is there anyone that wanted to be heard about this petition?
I just want to be clear on the
Could I just have your name and address, please?
Charles Delaware, 670 Humphrey Street.
Okay,
I'm just here to see where the deck is going and.
did you get a copy of the plan or
No,
anything?
I just got a copy of the meeting,
You just got the notice?
the notice for the meeting.
Okay, so, do you have another copy with you, sir, for, I can let you take a look, I can look on with
Over
this,
here.
you have an extra one?
Right there in the
Great,
end.
Can we get it up on the screen, Mark?
that'd be a great idea too.
Is it not,
It is up on the screen, can you see the screen here?
Mine's,
It's the right.
So what he's asking for on this, so you're to, on the other side of Kensington, right?
On the Humphrey Street side, yes.
So what he has is the relief he's looking for is because the deck, which looks to be in line with the existing dwelling,
Okay.
other than the stairs, is 16.3 feet from the front yard setback. The stairs will come down at 12.6 feet. But we can give a dimensional special permit to allow the deck to be up to 16 feet from the front yard, from the front lot line. So everything else appears to be conforming in setback, just that front yard. So do you have an idea of how it lays out?
Yeah, it's the front right corner, basically, where it shows that deck.
It shows proposed deck, do you see that?
Okay.
So, and it has some dimensions to show how far everything will be from the front lot line?
Where's our property? Oh, it's over back. So it got nothing to do with us.
No.
And this is the type of relief we customarily grant to petitioners
Right.
when they ask, we give up to that 20% of the relief on the setback. In fact, we often do it with more than just a deck, we do it often with, if it were even a two-story addition.
It's here. Moves them along. I think it should be fine with that. It's good.
While you're looking at that, I'm just gonna ask if there's anyone else that had questions that was on the Zoom call.
Sure. Anyone who has a question or comment, you may use the raise your hand function and I can call on you. Not seeing anything.
So do you have any questions, sir?
No.
Okay,
Not at
great,
all.
thanks. Anyone from the board have any questions? No. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
I'm gonna do a roll call, so I'm a yes. Close the public hearing. Dan?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Andy?
yes,
You can leave them right here.
Okay, is anyone interested in making a motion for this petition? I know Andy's going on vacation, or started his vacation, and I got him here by Zoom, from out of state.
I can do it.
All right, great, thank you very much.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to approve petition 2213 to build a open deck, as, described in the submitted plans.
Yep, for the dimensional special permit, less than 20%, to put it 16.3 feet,
Okay, yep.
as shown on the plot plan. Great, so, I'll second that. I'm gonna do a roll call. Heather?
Yes?
I am a yes. Dan?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Okay, so you have your relief, and as I told the last petitioner, there's a process by which decision will be filed. And then there's a 20-day period to wait to make sure there are no appeals.
Great.
Okay?
Okay.
So good luck with your project. Thank you.
Good time.
Okay, so the next petition is 2214, John Barnes, for special permit for non-conforming uses and/or structures to add dormers on second floor at 1 Hillcrest Circle, now being after 7:30 PM. Mr. Barnes here?
Mr. Chairman, my name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street in Peabody, Mass. And I appear on behalf of John Barnes and Elena Costello, who are the owners of the property at 1 Hillcrest Drive here in Swampscott, Mass. We are seeking relief, which would result in the addition of two additional dormers over an existing porch that is at the property. Our plot plan that has been filed with the petition demonstrate that there is no extension beyond the existing footprint of the property. There is no change in any dimensional relief as to the location of these additions on the property. The plot plan demonstrates that there is a dormer already in the middle of the porch that is over of the roof that's over the porch. We intend to fill in the areas, one of which on your plot plan to the left of the existing dormer on the second floor. It says porch, that area will be filled in, and to the right, the box that is above the existing porch, that too would be filled in. I do have, which I did not have at the time that I was filing in order to make the deadline, I do have architectural plans that I think are helpful to the board, and also I think that if Melissa were able to put the street view of the property up, I think it makes it much easier to understand what's being done. And
So is the porch now covered?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I was
Complete.
gonna say.
Listen to first.
Yeah, I feel fortunate that I'm not quite in the same circumstance as we saw. The property was bought by Elena in 2006. The property was built in 1920. There's no evidence of, well, certainly Elena did not undertake any kind of change to the premises. Additionally, there's no evidence in the interior of the premises or from the exterior of the premises that any additions have been made to the premises. And as I say, that three-window dormer actually will be removed. The roof that currently slopes down in kind of an arcing manner will be removed and replaced with full shed dormer across the entire roof of the porch. And as I said, maybe the file should reflect, if the board is of an understanding, but maybe the file would be better off if these architecturals were in.
Well, we've got to get the architectural
I think we
plans.
need architectural
Yeah.
drawing. I was gonna say the application was incomplete without architectural drawings. I don't even know what you're gonna do. There's no that's all we have is the application and.
Yes,
a
I
plot
understand
plan.
that.
Right? Is that all there was?
That's all, I think. Is there anything else?
I've got.
And we do have a
all that stuff looks
requirement in
nothing
our,
like that.
in our bylaw that there be
Did you have
plans.
I have plans and.
Oh, you did have
You have
I
plans?
mean, it's not that house though.
They were actually filed with the building department. I think Mr. Cummings had those and was probably kind enough
Oh,
to.
you know what, though? So this is what I was confused about, the,
Is this the other one that's Highland
They ours?
Street? 12 Highland Street?
that's Highland.
Is that a mistake?
That's, oh, yeah, sorry, I interfiled those. Those are,
Right, I saw Highland had something about,
Highland is for, no, the architecturals are for Highland. That's coming up next.
yeah.
Hillcrest, I don't have any architecturals.
Oh, then I don't have anything for Hillcrest.
No,
Right.
Highland's not on. the
Yeah, I was
agenda,
confused
is it?
about
Okay,
that.
sorry.
Highland, yeah, it's up next, 12 Highland Street.
It is? It's on
Yep.
the agenda? didn't see that.
So may I
Island.
submit these for the file?
Sure, I guess that's up to the board.
So you just have, how many copies do you have, Jack?
This is one full set, and then I have
Oh,
a
yeah.
much larger that we can share.
So,
So we do
What- what
do you
they-
have anything for, I don't have anything then for this, I don't think. Did I?
It's just this 2-pager. It's the
Yeah.
application and the plot plan.
so Jack, the problem is if we don't have the plans, I don't know how we're giving everybody notice of what you're looking to do. I mean, let me first ask if there's anyone that's here, on this petition that, had questions or wanted to be heard. Is there anyone in the audience? Not many people here. Let me just see if any of the notice of butters are here. You can use the raise your hand feature.
Nope, not on Zoom.
We are pretty lax about, not getting plans, but usually there's some plans,
I mean,
under, our bylaw does say that an applicant for a special permit or variance shall submit a plan in substantial conformance with the requirements of section 5400. And that's the site plan special permit, which gets very elaborate about plans, but, so we don't hold applicants to that standard, but we have to have some plans. So there was just no way I could evaluate this with just a plot plan and an application. And then the application doesn't even have the most important information in it, being the gross floor area is missing from the application, which is probably the numbers that we want, when we want to see the most for this kind of a project.
Right, so we have.
So it's really deficient. I think that it should be put over to the next meeting and proper plans submitted. That's what I think.
So, I understand it's just the dormers going on top and that they're not extending any more than the existing nonconformity, but I understand Dan's concern, and unfortunately, we don't have an August meeting, but I don't know that we can, if we got it a little earlier.
I have the plans.
Yeah,
I understand that you didn't have them timely, and I think that these two areas, to the left and right, that gets removed, roof gets peeled off, and we fill in, and it becomes one straight line across the top. That's what this plan reflects. Will the gross floor area of the dwelling change? Yes, it'll be increased, but we are not increasing or decreasing our open space, nor are we
That's true.
decreasing, nor are we becoming any more non-conforming with respect to our footprint. So it seems to me that we're in a very straightforward, we have a very straightforward petition.
I think it is pretty straightforward, yeah, I think it is, but we have to take your word for it. We really haven't seen any plans.
can I take a look at the plans?
Or what's the gross floor area? What is the increase in gross floor area?
I
mean, we need to know that.
I'm not particularly good at math, Mr. Doherty, but
Let me take a look and see.
I can give it a try.
I mean, it's so much less than 800 square feet, but we don't know.
Well, because it's, I still think they need at least a finding under that Bellotta case. All the changes are essentially, going no further. It's big. I'm gonna pull my, what the Bellotta case says, again, is there an increase in nonconforming nature of existing nonconformity? Which the answer to that is no. In that case, no relief is required under Bellotta. If there is an increase in nonconforming nature, it's a Section 6 special permit.
What's
But
the nonconformity?
The nonconformities that he has here,
Lot area and frontage. No,
Right.
frontage, no, frontage is.
frontage is conforming.
Frontage is conforming.
He's non-conforming as to front yard setback, but it's not changing that. He's non-conforming existing as to side yard setback, but that's not changing.
Nope.
So we, under Bellotta, this is that what, Robin said, we should first evaluate the relevant work to determine if it is increasing the non-conforming nature of any existing nonconformity. If the ZBA finds in the negative, no relief is necessary. So all we need to do is make a finding that the proposed work is not increasing any nonconforming nature of the existing nonconformity, and we don't give any relief. So it is extraordinarily straightforward, and if we can make that finding that, based on the plot plan, I mean, quite frankly, as long as the addition's under the 35 feet, he's not making, asking for relief for height, I think we don't need to give him relief, we just need to make a finding that it's not increasing the nonconforming nature. I'd be willing to make that motion based on this. I know it's not the ordinary course that we conduct ourselves in, but we don't have another meeting till September, and it is, in my mind.
We can't do a, increase, there's no square footage on that as far as what's the percentage increase.
But the structure, we can get it from the assessor's record as to what the existing gross floor area is. And for an increase in gross floor area, what would trigger relief? It would need to be 800 square feet for site plan special permit?
800 for site plan special permit.
So we can do this
So
so
we
long
can-
as it's under 800, and he's already got the dormer that's there that he's removing or adding to, I guess removing, so that counts, it's the net number. So why don't we give him the finding, if it's more than 800 square feet, he's gotta come back for a site plan special permit. Does that seem,
Yes, and I think that works for the building commissioner.
okay? So, I'm gonna
It's
make,
probably not, yeah, it's probably not more than 800 square
Because
feet,
he's
but
already
but
got-
we just
There's
can't.
already a dormer there.
all we have, because it's such
But it's just
small amount of
frustrating that we
relief.
have to, we have to speculate.
And the next time Mr. Kelty's back, he'll get the plan filed. And so, I'm gonna make a motion to, close the public hearing. Do I have a second on that?
Second,
I'm gonna take a roll call, so I'm a yes. Dan?
yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
I'm gonna make a motion to make a finding on petition 2214 that there is no increase in the nonconforming nature of the existing structure for the proposed work, as no existing nonconformity is requesting relief, so long as the increase in gross floor area is below 800 square feet, no site plan special permit is necessary, and I'll write a decision that we made that finding. Do I have a second on that?
Second,
So I am a yes. Dan?
yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna write a decision that just says, it's a finding,
I
that,
understand.
it's under that exception that we have under 48-6 in the Bellotta case. So I'll do that and file a copy with the town clerk. Okay?
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate your
Yep, thanks.
cooperation.
Thanks. Okay, the next petition is 2215. Give me 1 second. 2215 for 12 Highland Street. It now being after 7:40 PM. Is Dana Kench here?
Yeah, we're here.
That's me.
Here in the
Hi,
back.
how are you?
Good.
All right. So you can tell us about your petition?
All right, so basically, we are looking to replace an old deck that is in disrepair, and as part of that, kind of rearrange the overall layout. So currently, if you look at that over to the right side, the stairs come down alongside our neighbor's driveway. We're looking to relocate those stairs off to the back of the house and then extend the deck to where the stairs currently are. So I think currently it's 9 feet, and we'd be looking to extend out 3 feet to 12.
So the deck currently encroaches to 5 feet, and you're looking for relief to get to 3.2 feet. But we have jurisdiction only to get you to 6 feet, right? Because it's 20% on that side yard setback. Not sure if I'm missing something on that. Although, is the deck uncovered?
Correct.
But the deck also has the uncovered, it can't be 5 feet from any lot line. We've had this issue too, right?
Yeah, that was my feeling, it's closer than, has to be 5 feet off the,
Right, 5, and that's like a hard number that we can't, whether before we decided that, could we give the 20%? I know we had that one before. So, give me just a second.
no, it's covered, it is a covered porch, right?
So in the back, I guess, left
Maybe covered,
portion, there's an enclosed framed porch currently. We're looking to, I guess, just change that to it's currently fully enclosed. As part of the rebuild of the deck, we're gonna turn that into a screened porch, so it's already currently covered. We're just looking to extend that.
I'm a little lost on it, so.
Confused it from the.
So we have an existing deck,
Correct,
and that's remaining.
correct. I don't know if.
Yeah, you're welcome
If I
to
go
come
up
up and
and-
show us on the screen.
Use my pointer finger.
Yep, that's fine. So long as we can understand it.
Okay. So currently.
Maybe show us on this one. This one might be better, this is right in front of us.
Sure.
Hopefully Paul or Andy can see okay. Maybe, not, I can explain.
Can Paul and Andy see?
Yes, I can't see what he's showing you though, no, sorry.
Okay.
I'll try and follow along and I can annotate here.
Oh, that'd be great.
Thank
We
you.
do have a pointer. So what he's pointing to, that'd be great if you give that, Marissa.
I'll try.
So why don't you show us what's there currently?
Okay, so this is currently our driveway, as it comes down here.
Yep,
And then there's a little entranceway to a porch that currently runs from this line out to here.
actually, Marissa, you're in the wrong spot there. Sorry, we gotta go slower.
Wow,
Sorry.
okay.
So the driveway's on the right
So, yeah,
top
this is the
corner.
driveway. It comes down to about halfway around the house.
Yep.
Halfway down the house, that's the front road. So right now, the deck is out to here, and then there's stairs that currently come down, so the stairs are already out to here coming down.
Yep,
So the deck extends all the way back to here, it goes around the back of the house, and then this portion will be slanted lines going this way, are currently an enclosed frame porch, so it's all enclosed and roofed currently.
Well, so
What
what parts,
part's enclosed and roofed?
The ones with the slanted lines going up,
so the
so
slanted
this-
lines
so
indicate
this-
that it's covered?
yes, so this is currently covered, this is just part of the already existing deck. We're looking to propose to extend the coverage over this 3 feet here to make it a screened-in room, as opposed to fully enclosed.
So towards the center of the lot, you're looking to
Yeah,
enclose a
so-
portion there.
Yeah, so this is already enclosed and covered.
And you're looking to add 87 square feet.
We're looking, yeah,
Enclosed.
we're looking to enclose this here.
Okay.
Turn all this into screen. So basically, there's walls and a window. We're gonna get rid of the walls and the window, leave it covered, and turn it into a screen and porch.
Okay, so those look like they're conforming changes there.
This is a good place to see what he's talking about, because you can see the.
It's a better view.
Well, you can see
Yeah.
what's there. This is the laundry room, and that's becoming a screened porch slightly larger than the.
Oh, existing to
laundry room.
propose, yeah, that's very good.
And then we'll move the stairs off to the back there, so it's not going down along the neighbor's driveway.
So
Were you on the floor plan, Heather, or were you on the the renderings?
I'm on the floor plan. I feel like the floor plan's the easiest way to kind of see it.
So what's that other part up at the other end of the house,
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, up near the driveway, up by, right on the lot line.
on Highland Street?
The front porch?
There's also a proposed porch.
So
is
right
that-
now, we have a covered front porch on the front of the house. What we're looking to do is, so currently, the way that it is there's a entrance to the front porch right here. It's all covered currently, it's all, just got the fencing around it, it goes into the front of the house. What we'd be looking to do as part of that is to enclose half of it, and then remove the entrance from the actual road to the driveway, so you know, get off the driveway and actually come onto the porch and into the house this way, instead of coming in from the street. So it's already existing and covered, we'd just be looking to enclose half of it to make it a mudroom.
Yeah, where I was getting confused is where it says proposed porch enclosed, proposed porch open. But you're telling me it's existing.
Correct.
It's open, though, it's not, the whole thing has a roof.
The street view shows it very well.
Yeah.
You can
Okay.
pull it up, like on Google Maps? Yeah.
There's a roof over it, it's all open. So we looked to enclose it half of it instead of entrance.
Photographs would be helpful on this one.
We're gonna get a picture in a second. Thanks, Marissa.
Sure.
Conforming at every turn.
Mm-hmm. That's the structure right there.
Correct. So basically, we'd like to, somewhere about halfway down, just enclose all of that to make it into a mudroom, and then get rid of this railing here to make it straight from the driveway onto the porch into the mudroom, instead of,
So when did that roof there, when did that go on, the cover to the porch, was that always there?
we bought in 2016 and it was there, I don't know when.
So you want to enclose what part?
The front porch?
Just half of the front porch. Basically, we leave this as is open, we just want to close the half that's over here, so it's basically around this doorway that goes into the house.
And with that area, so on the proposed, it just shows it as covered front porch, but you're saying, so on the plan, it shows it just as covered.
Yeah, on the
But,
plan, they can.
but on the, here it shows as proposed porch enclosed.
Well, you can see where the enclosure starts on the proposed.
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
it, but I'm just wondering, there's a different choice of words. One says covered, which is how I would view what's existing, is covered. And then on the plot, on the certified plot plan, it describes it as enclosed. You follow me? So you're gonna put walls there, or are you gonna put screen?
On this one, it would be walls, it would just be, it would be a fully enclosed mudroom, so wall here, door on this side of the porch, with a window here to keep the symmetry.
So it's gonna
It
be,
shows it on A3, on page A3, Paul's drawings.
okay, yep.
I believe he was on Zoom as well, our architect.
I'm here.
All right, A3, showing screen porch in the back, and then I see with the door,
The upper left
Okay.
corner there, that, west front elevation shows the enclosed. the half
Got it,
enclosed
okay,
wall.
yep, all right, now I got
So
it.
this is the porch, am I correct? Yes.
Yes.
Preschool level drawing?
Yes. Give or
Yep.
take a foot.
Okay. So you're not increasing the existing nonconformity in terms of setback, that's not changing.
Mm-mm.
Now, let me ask this, though, but the steps, are they gonna remain, when it says to be enclosed, what happens with the steps in? Are the steps gonna be from the other side, or?
Yeah, so you come in from the driveway, so, I don't know if you can turn the picture to get from the other angle. Down the street a little bit. and come
Yeah,
up.
it's gonna shift
All
all
right,
this,
yep,
but
so the
let
steps
me
are
just clear
built
the annotation.
inside there.
Yeah, so basically, where the driveway is here, where this, I guess, open area is now,
Yep,
you'd come in from the driveway, so she turns back. Currently, there's a wonderful planter box there, but we'd open up this railing, and then you'd come in off the driveway to the stairs here and onto the porch.
okay, all right, so I understand that part now. And then on the, and then I understand the enclosure to the back, which is all conforming, not increasing any nonconformity. But the other thing I'm trying to understand though, in the back, is this increase, I think, to the proposed deck in the back.
Correct, so.
And that's where the 3.5 feet,
The back would basically be extended the width of the stairs, so that you basically, once you got to the back of the deck, you'd be able to walk straight down the railing to the stairs. The stairs would go down, hit a landing.
so.
Also page
I don't know that we have, so on here, I just don't know that we have any authority to go beyond the existing side yard setback. Or at most, what we have authority to do, which would be 20% of the 7.5 foot setback, or 6 feet. I think it's already closer than 6 feet, it's 5 feet 9 inches to the existing.
Now, is the
Right.
existing to the end of the stairs, or is the existing to the end of the deck? Do the stairs count? I guess that's my question.
Well, we've had that issue on Puritan, and they don't count as, for the setback, I believe.
I don't
think
think
it's,
unenclosed stairs count.
and unenclosed stairs don't count. But we have an unroofed deck here, but it can't be any closer than, so the thing with the deck,
Yeah, it's 2382, I think.
yeah, so that provides that we have,
Unroofed porches and the like, but you're not projecting more than 10 feet beyond the line of the foundation wall.
and that's what we have here, an unroofed porch.
Yeah?
So it can't, if it can't go beyond 10 feet from beyond the line of the foundation, and I don't know, do we have that dimension here?
Should be on there somewhere.
It's 12.
It's 12 feet. So,
Right, so that does project more than 10 feet.
so I think we, in terms of what I think you can do is you can't go beyond the 12 feet that you already have.
I think the 12 feet is the proposed.
It's proposed, yeah.
Oh, okay, but I don't think you can go beyond 10 feet from the foundation wall.
I think currently it's 9.
Oh, I see, it goes a little bit beyond, so if it, whatever it goes beyond, I don't know that we have that, it looks to me like it's 5.9 feet. Oh, no, I need from the foundation to the edge, but I think it's non-conforming because it goes beyond that 10 feet. Right, so it's non-conforming because it extends already beyond the 10 feet from the foundation wall. So you can't extend that non-conformity at all. So I think you can go along the same line that you have to the back, but no closer. You follow me? I think what you can do, although it shows, oh, the stairs go in the other direction, right? You're looking to change the stair direction there?
Yes, so currently, basically, you come in the driveway, and there's an opening here and there's an opening here. The stairs go down this way.
Yep.
We're gonna get rid of the stairs and basically put them off the end of the deck, so we're extending the deck back the 3 feet, which is basically the width of the stairs, so it goes down to a landing,
Yep.
turns, and then comes back down into the yard.
So, but I don't believe you can go any further than this 5.9 feet line. there. I think you can cut further back here. And I think that's all fine, but you can't go beyond 5.9 feet because you're greater than 10 feet here. So that's what I think you can do. You see what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, basically the existing deck.
Yep, Marissa's got the right line. You can keep going, you can continue down there, Marissa.
Yeah,
Yep.
stay within the
You can go, you can stay at the 5.9 feet, but you can't go any closer to the side yard setback because you're beyond 10 feet from the foundation wall.
Well, I think, I mean, it has to be somewhere, but I think that's currently 9 feet.
So, but even if, well, but even if you are 9 feet, which do not project more than 10 feet beyond the line of the foundation wall, need not comply with the yard regulation, provided the district in which the structure is built, provided the 5-foot setback. So even if it were 9 feet, you could do it 1 more foot, provided you were still 5 feet away. You can only do it 9 inches at most, because you're 5'9" currently, it's showing. You follow me?
Yeah.
So that's the issue. Definitely can't do it to the 3.5 feet, in my view. Does everybody see it that way? That you can only do it to the, at most, 5 feet, provided that the edge of the deck is no more than 10 feet from the foundation wall? So your architect's on the,
Yes.
so maybe he knows the dimension, he or she knows the dimension of the distance to of the existing deck from the foundation wall?
I don't know the exact dimension currently.
Let's see, can we figure it out from any of the other dimensions that are on here? I see that 7.5 feet setback line. And then I'm trying to figure out what that, is that 12-foot line, is that
12-foot would be the.
all the way to the edge of the stairs, or?
No, so you can see that there's this uncolored area,
Yeah.
which is where the stairs currently go. This 12-foot is the proposed deck line, and then this is the current deck line. So this, we're looking to expand 3 feet, which would be about 6 inches less than the current stairs protrude. And I think the current deck is 9 feet from the house.
So,
Looks like some math might be required, but on page
Let's
A1,
see,
it seems to be there.
I found that dimension, that's 9 foot 3 inches from the house to the edge of the current deck
okay,
on that blue line there.
so that means you can go over another 9 inches, which would bring you 5 inches from the side yard setback, which is the most that you can be. And I don't believe you need, well, it's covered, right? Is that what it is? Is this?
No.
It's uncovered.
This is uncovered.
I don't know that you need relief from us to do that. I think you can get a building permit because you can be, on that portion, you can be 10 feet from the foundation wall with an unenclosed deck, so long as you're 5 feet from the setback. But you can't get all the relief that you're looking for here towards the back because it can't be 3.5 feet. You have to keep it at that no more than the 5-foot, 9-inch existing, oh, I'm sorry, the 5-foot setback. You follow me? It has to, you can go along that side yard, but it's, everywhere it's gotta be at least 5 feet.
Okay, so we can add 9 inches to the existing deck.
9 inches at the front, but if it gets narrower at the back, it always has to maintain 5 feet on that side. And we don't need to give you relief for that. that you can do as of right, in my opinion, right? Anybody have any different opinion about that?
Mark?
Yes.
My concern, I didn't think this was, I kind of explained that I thought this was the way it was gonna go. But if they wanted to extend the deck back into the yard more than 10 feet off the back of the house, they're gonna still be 5 feet off the side in the back, which
Oh,
requires
right,
a 7.5.
they're off 10 feet in the back.
I think it's 7.5 in that neighborhood,
Well,
if they go beyond the 10 feet.
What do you mean beyond
Which
the
do you-
10 feet?
Like if you wanted to bring the back deck further.
that's
to
okay,
maybe-
because you-
We would only be extending, this existing deck portion, so it wouldn't be anything.
But that's a great point, because once you get beyond 10 feet from the foundation line in the back, you're triggering that side yard problem that you have because you're in the setback. So at the very back, wherever you extend beyond the 10 feet from the foundation, on that side yard setback, you gotta comply with the 7-foot 5-inch for
Or
that
get relief.
parallel area. Or we could give relief up to 20%, which would get you to 6 feet. But you can't go any.
I think what I was mentioning to the owners, that because you're probably not gonna gain it on the side, you might wanna gain it in the back.
I
But you
agree.
still meet, so I just wanted them to have a plan A, plan B, so we're not back and forth and we give them the right thing the first time.
Yeah, if you just kept it at the 5 feet, you're not increasing that so even if you're,
Well, I think this line, maybe Paul can, but I think this line here is 10 feet from here.
No,
okay.
it looks to
Currently,
me,
I think this
No.
part of the deck is only 6 feet,
6'4".
6'4" from the wall to the current deck, and we're gonna expand it out basically to 3.5 feet for the stairs, which brings it out to 10 feet, so that 10 feet is actually all the way out to this dotted line where the proposed deck is.
Paul, is that correct? It's 10 feet?
yeah, it's 10 feet out to the back of the proposed deck.
Okay, so you're 10 feet, so that's okay, but then you can't be 3.5. You gotta shave it off there, because you can't be closer than 5 feet at the back. You follow me? On the side yard, you can't be at 3.5 feet on the side yard setback. You can only, the bylaw says,
Well, again, this 3.5 is at this proposed, not at the current. So
It's at the previous proposed
If we
where,
ran this line down, you're
We're
actually
all-
at the 5.9.
right, so you gotta be at 5
So-
feet. We can't give
yeah.
relief beyond 5 feet.
Correct, so we would, if we had to. we'd
If you
get
held
the
that
nine-
line
we'd
at
get the
5
9
feet.
inches, run it down
Yep,
to here, you know,
Yep.
what the proposed is, then we wouldn't have to do anything special, because we'd be 10 feet here, we'd be 5 feet here, and within the 10 feet of.
yep. Yep, that,
Are you, my point was, just for your sake, because you're not gaining what you wanted to gain on the side, now's the time if you wanna push it back further to get the
you
relief.
can go back further, but I don't know that he needs relief from us.
Well, it would be because he's in
Well,
that
then we
5
go
foot.
past the 10 feet if we went back further than the proposed, and then we'd be.
But I think,
You're
right,
you're not encroaching on the
But
rear
either way,
at all.
but then it.
But
it
where-
eats
where-
away at my-
where you
my
get-
yard for my 3 kids, so that's.
yeah, you don't wanna go
I
too,
don't
wanna eat up
want
the
it to
yard.
eat away the yard.
But on the 10 feet from the foundation wall, that only triggers the side yard violation. We could give a dimensional special permit to 6 feet on the side yard where it extends beyond the 10 feet from the foundation wall. But no more. We can't vary the 5 foot. Follow me?
Yeah, I just want a very clean path, so.
So, but if he does.
No, I know what you're saying, I just don't want, hey, geez, now we wanna go back further, and I say, well, now we wanna go back
Then we have to get
18
to that
feet.
corner and angle it this way. Once
You
we
gotta-
get-
you gotta
once we
keep
get to
that-
10 feet here, then we could just angle it that way and.
Once you get to outside of the 10 feet, then you gotta we could give you relief of a dimensional special permit for that little piece to 6 feet.
Yeah, so basically we have whatever it is, 5 feet here, and then if we, anything past that.
It
we
just,
have
it just
six
needs to
feet.
move over
So
3
like
inches
this-
from there.
So this back corner would have to like slant
Well, actually, you're at 5 feet 9 inches there, so you're protected at the 5.9 right there. But when you extend it further back, you actually have to be 3 inches beyond that. You have to be no more than 6 feet if we gave you a dimensional special permit. If you kept it all at 5 feet along that line, and you went no more than 10 feet from the foundation wall, you don't need relief from us for that. You only, and if you're enclosing, is it already covered, that rear center porch? Is that covered?
This right here
It's covered.
is covered currently. It's
Yep.
closed and covered, siding and windows. Basically, we're gonna tear down the walls, leave the covering, and just put a screened-in area, then extend the screened-in area to this little area here.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if you need relief from us for that proposed screen porch in the back.
Even though it's existing, we're just getting rid of walls.
Well, you're covering it, but everything
It's already
is
covered.
conforming. I think you just need a finding from us on that.
Yeah.
And in the front, I think you just need a finding, so long as are you okay with keeping it at the 5 feet, all along, 5 feet from the lot line, all along that side?
Doesn't sound like,
You're not gonna get beyond
I-
five,
I
you're not
know,
gonna get
like,
it. We don't have
I
authority.
it doesn't sound like I have much of an option, so.
You don't, because we don't have authority. We can't vary the bylaw in the 5 feet.
I'm not looking for you to do that, I just.
So that's, if that's what we can give you the okay for, is up to no closer than 5 feet.
So basically, we can gain the 9 inches along that side yard.
Yep.
And we gain that 9 inches all the way down past, to this 10-foot,
Yep, all the way to 10 feet.
So.
And at that corner where it says
basically,
3.5,
we
it
have,
has to be 5 feet.
Where this blue line is,
Yep.
it goes up, fractional here, and then we go all the way down to here.
And it's gotta be 5 feet from the lot line all along. It's gotta run parallel to the lot line. 5 feet.
But then if we went past this 10-foot line, it would have to then shift back over to the 6 foot.
Well, you need to ask us for
Well,
relief.
yes, we'd have to
So it'd
ask
be
you for
7.5
special-
without relief from
Yes, to
us.
get the 20%, which would be 1.5 feet.
6
have to
feet.
move over,
You
have
need a
to get
dimensional
that
special
approval. So
permit.
best we could get that approval.
What I-
We'd have to shift over at that 10+ foot mark.
We could, I don't know if you need to think about it, if you're looking to go further back. If you are, you can come back here next month.
Like I said, the yard's small enough as it is. With
Okay.
my kids that I don't want to eat up any more of the yard. It was just more of moving the stairs to make it a safer entry for the kids from the yard instead
Yep.
of going down someone's driveway.
Okay, so do you want me to close our public hearing and make a motion? Well, first, is there anyone that wanted to speak or have questions about this petition?
Our neighbor is on. They were this one. I guess it wasn't really.
Okay,
Is that Justina?
Yep.
Hey, Justina.
Hi, this is actually Anthony.
Oh, hey, Anthony.
Hi.
Justina is my wife, but we both have seen these plans before and think that any relief that is required should be put through. I guess if they're looking for any more, it doesn't sound like they are now, but
yep, okay, well, thank you. You're the neighbor that's affected by the side yard setback, so thank you. Anyone else that wanted to be heard about this petition? Use the raise your hand feature, hearing none. Is there anyone?
Don't think
Okay.
so.
All right, so I'll make a motion first to close. Anyone on the board have any questions about this? I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, so I'm a yes. Heather?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Did anyone want to make I can make a motion. You want to write the decision? I've got it in my mind. I don't think it's that complicated though, but I'm already doing the other finding. I can probably do this at the same time. So I could do this one. So I'm gonna make a motion to make a finding that provided the side yard setback for the changes to the existing deck along the Sanchez property are no closer than 5 feet from that lot line, that the front yard enclosure that is shown on the plans in the rear yard enclosure of, on the deck, do not create any new nonconformity. And the alterations to the deck, provided they are no more than 10 feet from the foundation line and no closer than 5 feet from the side yard setback, or the existing deck setback, are permitted. Do I have a second on that?
Second?
I'm gonna do a roll call, so I'm a yes. Heather?
Yes.
Yes?
Dan?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Okay, so you have your relief. I'm just making some notes here. Okay, so last but not least is 2126 Pine Street Development. Continued hearing. Attorney Quinn, thank you for your patience tonight.
Thank you all for your time.
So first, I can tell you that I have listened to the prior meeting, and I will fill out, sign the affidavit that I have done so. I understand we have a revised plan that has been circulated to us, and the request for relief has changed, as outlined in your letter.
Yep.
So I would first ask you to maybe give us an overview of the changes that have been made since the last meeting.
Sure, I will. Hi, everybody. Thanks for waiting for me. I appreciate it. We have our architect and owners online as well attending tonight. We left the last meeting knowing we had more homework to do, a significant homework. So we, the developers, gave the architect permission to design a project that did not require variances. So we're not seeking any variances tonight, only special permits. The basic changes are that we are now at 21 units, 29 on-site parking spaces. We have building coverage under 77 feet, which would be the maximum under a special permit. We have 2.5 stories. We do still have 36 feet, 2 inches, which is a little over the 35-foot maximum, so that still requires relief. The parking requires relief because 21 units should, under the bylaw, requires 1.5 units, which turns out to be 1.5 spaces per unit, which turns out to be 32 spaces. So we have 29 in the building to accommodate those units. The square footage of the building has been reduced by over 3,000 square feet. It's been pulled back from Erie Street further than it was. It's been pulled back a little more from Pine Street than it was. And, but the new design, the more historically appropriate design, has been maintained. So with that, I would like to ask if you, I'll certainly answer any initial questions you have, but my next step would be to ask our architect, Peter Pittman, to briefly go over the renderings and plans so you can see what we've got now as our project.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Quinn. Mr. Pittman, how are you?
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the drawings. This is the old rendering, but just to give you a conceptual idea of what we've done, is we've basically taken 10 feet off the end of the building. And we did that by basically taking this shed dormer, which was a double wide, and making it similar to these. So you'll see that in the elevations. So it actually brings a little bit of uniformity to the elevations.
So we don't have a rendering of that?
Not
New plans are showing the old one then, right?
Yeah, I showed you the old one, but we do have amended elevations. So I will present that to you. The significant change here is the 10 feet that we took off the end of the building here, which has resulted in losing 3 spaces in that reduction of square footage. This still remains a 1-bedroom unit on the first floor. And then we've got a detailed study later on that shows how we lowered structurally the ceilings in the garage to meet that half-story requirement.
So what's the height on the ceiling of the first floor garage?
The substantial part of the ceiling is going to be less than 7'3", but over 7 feet. So the code, your zoning code defines square footage as counting for calculations at 7'3" or taller. And we're doing, but the building code requires we have 7 feet of height. So we're threading the needle between the 7-foot building code and the 7'3" of your zoning code.
Mm-hmm.
There are areas where we have to maintain a higher ceiling because of handicap parking requirements. And there's a detailed study deeper in the set. We didn't develop the units, but that's basically where the units would be. Same here on the top floor. We do show the roof deck. This are future solar panels here and here, and then these are our HVAC units, our condensers. We maintain the screen between the neighbor and the VFW. Here's that front elevation, colored. So this used to be a double wide, and basically we pulled the 10 feet out of here and slid that over. Similarly in the back, this got smaller. The light blue area is all that would be less than 7'3". This says 7'3" to finish. It should really say 7'2" or 7'3" minus. This is the 8'3" area, which is all required by ADA requirements. And this other blue is, again, less than 7'3". This unit has 10-foot ceilings in here and basically throughout this, although it does step down and there are taller ceilings down here. So that's the significant changes from what we presented last time.
Okay, thank you. First, does anyone on the board have any questions for Mr. Pittman?
So the lowering of the garage level over the portion that you were able to lower it is just kind of an artificial dropped ceiling? We're not lowering any other part of the structure at that spot, we're just lowering the ceiling?
We're structurally lowering the ceiling. It's not just an acoustical ceiling, it would be a Chicago style ceiling or more durable than that, but at least as a Chicago ceiling. We also reviewed this with the building inspector before doing the work to see if that would meet his interpretation. So Steve, do you want to chime in on that?
I know we talked briefly on the phone, I didn't see the drawings. I do believe it's a Chicago ceiling is actually a framed-in ceiling with sheet rock screwed to it, so it would be the definition of a structural ceiling, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve.
And the 7.3 figure is because the floor above it is, what's the height of the floor above?
10 feet. So I have to have an 8-foot garage door, and then I need the radius for the garage door to be able to go up. Then I need my floor thickness for structural systems, mechanical systems, so it's a pretty tight floor section, even at that.
Okay, thank
10
you.
feet.
Any other questions from the board? Are there any other questions before I open up to the audience to see if there's any comments about the new plan? So Marissa, do you have another question,
I
Dan?
don't know, I guess I just don't totally understand how it's just a half story, how it meets that definition, how it's 50% or less than the square footage of the
Well, they're not
floor
asking us
above.
for relief for the 2.5 story definition, right? I mean, and I suppose they do it at their peril, if they're wrong about that, if someone appeals and it's determined that it isn't a half, so we're not giving relief beyond that, but maybe we could take a peek at that.
But we've had this before where somebody, added sort of structural beams on a 3rd floor.
Yep.
To, kind of false the ceiling height. And I voted against it.
Yep.
I don't remember that.
I remember there was another petition, but, here, I listened to the hearing from the last meeting. I had a different perspective in terms of even the variance criteria with them not being able to put the parking below because of the flood plain and the unique features of this lot. But that was a different analysis. Now, they're not asking for a variance. They're asking us to give them special permits and no relief for stories. So I guess the analysis is, do we have to
But if someone came
go
to
further?
us with something that was clearly 3 stories, but didn't ask for relief,
Yep,
wouldn't we say, but it was asking for relief for something else, we would point out the fact that this is clearly 3 stories, and we can't give you the relief because you're.
yeah, true. True, but
Regardless if you ask for it.
but we're given this history, so let's say they were wrong about it, and someone challenged it in court, they leave themselves open potentially to a claim if they didn't get that relief, but I mean, if you want to vet it out, why don't we look at that? Where is that story definition in the bylaw?
It's the definition of gross floor area and the definition of story. They go together, not alphabetically, but in analyzing.
Right, it's in the definitional section, right?
Specific provisions in your ordinance that allow this to be
Story,
done,
half
especially
story.
for a garage. Okay, if half the floor area is less than 7.3, by
Story, right.
definition, it's a half story.
Well, it says story, the portion of a building, including basement, cellars, garages,
Yeah.
storage areas, et cetera, contained between any floor and the floor or roof above, or next above it.
Mhm.
The lowest level of a building, including basement, cellars, garages, storage areas, et cetera, shall not be counted as a story if more than 1/2 of the height of this level is below the average finished grade of the ground adjoining this level. A half story is a story which is comprised of 50% or less of the square footage of the floor below. It's interesting because it talks about the lower level, the garage, any level, But then that last sentence, a half-story, is comprised, but, the first portion of the definition,
Where's the,
I suppose you could read that last sentence as including the floor above, right? A half story is a story which is comprised of 50%
Here,
or less
That's what would make
of the
sense.
square footage of the floor below or above, I guess.
Mark, one thing you have to read in context with that paragraph is back to your definition of gross floor
yeah,
area.
I'm going there, Bill
Yeah.
told me that, I'm going there right now. Gross floor area, the total square feet of floor space within the outside dimensions of a building, including each floor level without deduction for hallway, stairs, blah, 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 including floor area of attic containing 7.3 or greater in height as measured perpendicular from the floor to the underside of the rafters, but excluding basement cellar if more than 50% of height of basement cellar is below the finished grade of the ground adjoining the basement cellar. So it doesn't say,
So why are those
First
two
floor.
read together? I don't get that.
it doesn't say anything about the height of the basement.
well, this isn't a basement, this is on the ground level.
It's a garage.
I don't see
Garage.
Yeah, but I mean,
reading
it
the
only
story
mentions
and
the
gross
height when
floor
referring to
area
the
together.
attic. It really makes it, when you combine the reading of gross floor area and the reading of story, that half story is the third story.
I don't know that I necessarily agree that our bylaw
Because it
reads that
says
way.
the square footage of the floor below.
You have that, but then you also have to look at the portion of a building, including garages. We all agree this is a garage, except for there's one dwelling unit in there, but it's predominantly a garage.
Yep.
Contained between any floor and the floor or roof next above it. The lowest level of a building, including garages, shall not be counted as a story. I mean, you're not gonna have a garage on the top floor, and it's including in story.
Yeah, but that's talking about if it's below grade. That's not talking about if it's a percentage of the floor above it. If 50% of it's below grade, you don't count it at all, right?
Right. Right.
Yep, but I don't,
None of this is
I
below
see it, that it's,
The only sentence that matters there is the last sentence.
I don't agree, but why don't we hear what some of the abutters have to say about the changes that were made, and then we can have a further discussion about story. It seems to be the big issue here, right?
I saw Cindy had her hand raised, but then it went down.
So if anyone on the board, anyone in the audience wants to be heard about this petition, I would invite you to use the raise your hand feature. Ms. Cavallaro?
Hi, Cindy.
Yes. Hi, thank you so much. It's been a long night. I'm sure you're all excited to get home as well. Side note, Marissa, you're the bomb. You just pull through all the time, whether it's during a board meeting or if I'm asking you for a favor as a town meeting member. I have to give you kudos.
Thank you.
Andy Rose, I took your page out of your book on vacation. I'm upstairs in my bedroom. My pillows, you made it look so comfortable. But anyway, concerns about Pine Street. I mean, it looks great on paper, but a lot of it still hasn't been addressed of the concerns of the people that live in the area. Mainly right now, Safety Brook, also demolition. I mean, I know we're getting the cart before the horse, but that building is as old as I am. I've lived on the street forever. And I'm talking like protection in terms of the demo, removal of it, you know, carting it through town. I mean, let alone it's got to be filled with asbestos. I mean, that building is super, super old. On paper, it looks good. I mean, kudos, architecture-wise, it looks great. But, you know, what's on paper and what actually happens are two different things. And from what I'm hearing is I represent Precinct 3, happen to actually live on the street, further up from it though, is that people aren't happy with not having the actual details of what's going to happen. How much of this is affordable? Is any of it affordable housing? You know, they've lessened it between Erie and Pine, but by how much? Is that going to take into consideration the traffic flow? Because we all know that Pine Street is a cut through to avoid 1A, Vinton into Salem, for people to have visitors, you know, or having a dinner party. And another concern I've also heard is about the roof above, about having grills and parties and whatnot. And I mean, you know, how viable is that and how necessary is that? So basically that's all I've got from now, from people that have been contacting me. Looks great on paper, it sure looks better than what's there, but there's still a lot more that we are very concerned about. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Dalton?
Okay.
I think you're on.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi. Thank you. I just have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I know that structure, and the other question I have is, if they took parking spaces out of the building, does that mean we're going to have excess parking on our street? I live on Pine Street. I'm sorry, I'm at 37 Pine Street. But both Erie and Pine have an awful lot of parking on, especially Erie Street. And
You faded out in the first
I would also like
question.
to know, just one more.
I didn't hear the first question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wondering about the height of the building. Is it still the same on the outside?
Same height.
Because I know that.
Yes. Yes, the height's the same.
Okay, and on the Erie Pine side, it mentioned, Mr. Pittman had mentioned that it was going to move in a little, but if you're coming down Erie and going on to Pine, it's hard to see around that corner. It's kind of people aren't going to be able to see. So that's one of my concerns, well, one of my many concerns. So I just thought I'd put my for listening.
That's our job.
Okay, thank you. Any response to any of those concerns, Mr. Quinn?
Yeah, I just thank the people for their continued concerns and input. It's actually helpful to us, but, you know, blasting can't be done without a blasting contractor who's qualified, insured, filing a plan of action with the building inspector, getting approval to demolish things, required to maintain safety practices that are well-known in the town and in the industry. So it's not just going to be somebody running in with some dynamite and a backhoe. It's going to be, it may be necessary to pull up all that concrete and level the site. If it is, there will be plenty of oversight and insurance and monitoring by the community and through the building department to supervise that process. So I think there's real protection there. It's not us that really can, we can try and not do it if we don't have to, but if we have to do it to build the building, then we're going to have to deal with all the complications and rules of conducting demolition in the town of Swampscott, and they're significant. In terms of excess parking, you know, we did have a traffic study. We've kind of lost track of it because it was submitted very early. But basically, the traffic study found when we were processing a bigger project with a commercial space, that the traffic impact on the streets in the neighborhood was going to be negligible compared to the existing traffic. And I certainly sympathize with the question of line of sight. And looking at the plans, it looks like to me that as long as we don't put shrubbery or things that obstruct the line of sight from people coming in and out of, especially out of the garage onto Erie, there's quite a pathway out of the garage. It's a controlled location. It's all going to be coming and going in the same spot. And there's quite a bit of room for a line of sight as long as we don't obstruct it with something. So any kind of conditions that you wanted to put in that prohibit us from obstructing the line of sight or shrubberies or anything over a certain height that maybe the architect or somebody'd like to talk to you about, but that's fixable, and we should fix it, and we'll fix it if it needs it.
Bill, can I chime in on that line of sight? The building's 22 feet back from the curb. That's more than a full parking lane. So as you pull up to the stop sign or the crosswalk there, you're going to have plenty of visibility, and there's a full car length in the driveway before you get to the garage doors. So we'd still be able to pull in onto the property. And it's deeply set on the property in terms of from the radius of the curb. So again, it's meeting all engineering standards by the radiuses. We did have a tree there. Line of sight came up in the last meeting, and we did remove the tree that we had here for all those reasons. And we don't anticipate any blasting. There's no basement here, so there's really, we just need to go down a frost wall or to ledge. And this is one of those rare occasions that ledge would actually do us a favor, because there's no visible ledge on the side, so nothing we have to excavate. We have no reason to excavate ledge on this side, or at least none that we can anticipate.
That's good news.
Mark, just to help ease the public a little bit, we'll require a construction plan and a demo plan. We'll weigh in with the police department, the fire department, where we want traffic to go. And we're definitely going to look out for the neighborhood and the citizens of Swampscott, so through the building department. So we'll cover little disruption and safe demolition on our part as we can. We'll be following them very closely.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that had questions about the revised plan that's on the Zoom call? Because it's just us here, the board and building.
Just got one.
Are we concerned at all that we didn't get these until the plan?
Yes,
The
yes,
public didn't
yes.
see these plans?
And I do have
No one's here,
concern.
and they've been very active, the community members, and these plans were just shared Monday.
I get that we've asked for, when was the last meeting? It was June 21st. And so here we are, less than a month later. I know you asked for concessions on gross floor area. There were questions about story that Andy brought up, and Peter said he was going to analyze that, do some research about it. They revised these plans. I mean, they took 10 feet off the building on one side. I don't know that it's, that the changes are such that, I mean, I haven't heard that from the neighbor. I asked them, the height's still the same, which it is. It's 10 feet off the side is basically what occurred for the gross floor, for the open space. And then there's some changes for the internal program for lost a unit and a few parking spots inside. Let me ask Caesar, who's raised his hand. Questions?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Cesar B here, 27 Pine Street. I just want to say I still think there's too many units for that building in this neighborhood. It's a pretty tight neighborhood, especially taking away 2 parking spots. Like Marcia was saying earlier, there's already a lot of vehicles on the car, especially on a lot of vehicles on the street, especially on Erie Street. And this is just gonna sort of increase on-street parking and just make it more difficult for people that already live here to find parking. And I just have a question on the traffic study. When they did that study, did they just get the base numbers on just like a standard table, since they couldn't actually see any cars coming in and out since there was no vehicle traffic within the last couple of years, or at least since they've had the building? So is it just an industry standard for that particular size building that they use on the study? If that makes
I know that they did refer to industry standards, as all experts do in that area. And I believe they took traffic counts at the time the study was being done. I don't remember the date of the study, but it's shortly before we first filed. I don't know if I'm answering your question. Yes, all industry standards were used and referred to, including the need for what they call low-rise multifamily housing, average vehicle use, which is 1.1 vehicles per unit in actual terms.
So
the town
essentially,
1.5.
Essentially, if that building was in operation as a commercial space, that's the type of vehicle traffic it would produce? Is that what?
Well, it had a factor for commercial space because we had that initially proposed about 1,400 square foot of first floor commercial space, which obviously was going to create more stop-and-go parking along in front or near the building. And if people were frequenting the shop that didn't live in the building, it would obviously bring more traffic to the site. We've eliminated that, which at least eliminates all of those concerns about increased traffic relating to the commercial use.
Okay. But obviously there's going to be an increased traffic to what we have now with a residential use or whatever use is coming up.
Yeah. I mean, people come and go once or twice a day from their units. That's pretty much the average. But yes, there is a detailed traffic study. The only problem is it's got elements for the residential and elements for the commercial. The commercial's more intense, and they found that the traffic generated by the whole project was going to be relatively negligible in terms of volume on surrounding neighborhood streets. And they had some specific numbers about how many people might come and go to the commercial space that are irrelevant at this point.
Okay. I just have one more question. Is there going to be any designated area for visitors, or is this all going to stay as residential parking on Pine and Erie?
As best I understand it, all the in-building parking will be designated to residents of the building. Street parking should be available in front of the building, and but we have not been able to provide, or have not provided, because of the size of the building and the size of the lot, on-site outside parking.
Sorry, I just have a big concern. It's gonna Pine Street's turn into East Boston, where we're double parked and have to go around the block a couple times to find a spot.
Right. Well, the only other thing I can say is I know my clients own some other property in the area. They will do what I believe would be necessary to run a good building and a safe building for the people that live there. And we haven't designated anything in particular, but we have other property in the neighborhood that could be the subject of emergency parking or something like that.
You're at liberty to say where that is around here?
I'm sorry, I don't know, but it's within 2 blocks or a block and a half.
Right,
and I think there are several, actually.
Okay, Ms. Cavallaro, you have another question or comment? Or is your hand?
Yeah, same question, didn't get answered. It was about the affordable housing, and then I'd forgotten, I was remiss. Are these apartments or are these condominiums?
That hasn't been decided. There are good elements to both. Apartments that serve working people, elderly people, and commuters will be in a price range that is complementary to needs in the community. Condominiums are routinely in the industry recognized as better cared for, and the unit owners become citizens of the neighborhood, so there's a positive effect there. But the developers haven't decided what to do. Affordable housing under the zoning bylaw, we have to provide 2.1 affordable units. And because it's 2.1, probably means 3.
Have some debate, close the
So whatever is required for that is going to be provided among the units that we have. So I expect it to be 3.
It is 3.
Okay.
So, Mr. Quinn, this project has had a fairly lengthy history. There've been several changes along the way. I think our big issue that we have right now is this issue of story, and that half story. That's what I see. You know, I look at the project. I'm about to to make a motion to close the public hearing. But before we do that, I'd like to have an opportunity to just address that a bit with the board and then close the public hearing perhaps, and maybe some more discussion amongst the board, and then look to move to a vote. I assume you're looking for a vote on this, you're not looking
Yes.
for any variance, you're looking for special permits.
Yep.
And Heather makes a good point as to how we treat projects if we think that the inappropriate relief or relief that's requested isn't being asked for. You know, I understand the arguments both ways on the interpretation. I look at this project and the way that it's changed over time in terms of its look, in terms of its size, the changes to increase, you know, to help address some of these issues with open space. And I told you earlier, I thought that there was grounds for a variance here because you can't put the parking below ground, which is driving the need to keep the height where it's at of the structure to make the project viable. I'm concerned about what's down the road. This project's in the district that's likely to be affected by the new law that has been enacted near train stations, MBTA stations, for increased density. And I'm concerned this project doesn't get approved. So the next one might be permitted, like has been happening around other train stations, like in Beverly, like in Salem. And then we could have much more massing on this site. But, you know, I do see the project as one that I support. I think it's, you know, I'm gonna be a vote in favor. I'm not asking anyone else to state their position, but I think it's worthwhile to have a discussion about the story. I do see this as a bit unique in that the half-story that, or I'll describe it as the alleged half-story, or the proposed half-story that's on the first floor, rather than being, as we traditionally see, on the top floor, is you know, driven, like I said, by the unique features of this site, being that you can't put the parking below grade, or substantially below grade. But I'd like to give you an opportunity to try and address the concerns of other members about the half-story, because I don't think that a couple of members are satisfied with that definition. I wish that we had more consensus on our board, but I don't know that we do. So I want to make sure I give you every opportunity as the petitioner to make the argument. If you think you've made the argument, that's fine, but I want to make sure I afford you with that opportunity.
Come into the lion's den.
If you don't have to take the invitation.
No.
You get a pass on the lion's den.
I have to try and address it. Again, keeping in mind I'm a lawyer, not an engineer, not a building code expert, although I read them all the time. I would honestly first ask you to take a step back. This building is 36 feet 2 inches tall. That's all there is, no matter how many stories we call it. That's the height of the building, which is like 1.5 feet taller than the limit for a single-family house in the neighborhood. So it's not that big. It's massive on the site. It's bigger than a house would be on the site, but it's not that tall. It's got all these unique conditions of Stacy Brook and cement concrete pad from end to end that has to be taken out. And being in a flood zone itself is grounds for relief of various types from a zoning board. And we're sitting in the middle of one, and we've had to raise the building 6 feet, which has squeezed everything into a smaller space, especially as we try to keep the height as close to 2.5 stories and 36.2 as we can. This is not a project you're going to drive by and be embarrassed about. This is a project you're going to drive by and be glad you supported it. It's going to be a beautiful building. It's going to provide some great housing to people in this community. It's going to provide live-in, stay-in housing with an elevator for elder citizens that may use public transportation and commuters that can walk easily to the train. There's a really lot of very positive things that are going to happen here, as opposed to leaving what's sitting there, which is a plague on the neighborhood, really. And the future, who knows? My clients are not so greedy they've tried to jam a 40B on this or something like that. They're trying to do a reasonable project on the site that serves the community. So I think it's important to keep that all in mind in weighing how much emphasis you want to put on arguing over the definition of 2.5 versus 3 stories and the building code provisions we were just looking at. I believe the building, don't want to speak for the building inspector, but this is a well-known strategy. It's not, we didn't dream this up as a gimmick. Those provisions exist for a situation like this where, you know, space is tight and you're trying to get adequate parking on the site. I have argued and filed papers with the board in the past, whether you've agreed with them or not individually, that cite the Concordia decision and the White Court decision, both of which granted parking relief for buildings that were considered to be 3 stories. One did it by special permit and variance, and one did it by specifically, well, the second one, White Court, they withdrew that because some adjustment apparently was made on the height, so they didn't need the relief once the decision was made. But there's history in this community of approving that as a variance. There's history in the community of approving that as a special permit. Whether you agree with those or not, that's the law of the community in terms of interpreting the zoning law. And, you know, with all of that, I would just say, is it really critically important that we delve into the depths of what is gross floor area and what is 7.3 and what's the ceiling made out of? The approach succeeds in keeping the building as physically low as it can be and serve this number of units, and has been substantially reduced in size, substantially modified to meet concerns of the neighbors, substantially modified to reduce the impact on the neighbors while still providing some decent housing in the community. So it seems to me that sounds like the tail wagging the dog here, and I know you have your responsibilities, but you have a lot of responsibilities, not only to glean one sentence of the zoning bylaw that's a building code question. That's for the building inspector to do if we go for a building permit. But I just really believe, having sat here with you through all of this, we've gone through a transformation of this project for something that everybody felt was unacceptable to a project that people and even the neighbors are now calling beautiful and has much less impact than the fears that initially accompanied the project. You know, I guess all I can say about the roof deck is the roof deck is the roof deck. If it turns out that somebody's vote is pinned on the roof deck, we'll talk about it. It's the developer trying to make a living feels that if he goes with condominiums, that will enhance the value of the sale of the units because people will enjoy it. But it isn't 100% necessary for the project. But the parking is, and the height is, and that's where we are.
You know, one thing that I look at on the project, if people are hung up on the definition, with the parking not being able to go below grade, the variance that could be granted or considered, could be, in this case, to permit, to vary the definition of story, to permit the half-story to be on the first floor. So that you're not making a precedent of calling this a 2.5 story, but permitting it because of the unique conditions of the land with the culvert and not being able to put the parking below grade. Just an idea for consideration. I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing at this point.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Mark, I got one question.
Yes.
How many square feet is the gross floor area of the existing building?
38,831.
No, the existing building, the concrete building that's
Oh,
there?
I'm sorry, excuse me, Andy, I apologize. I don't have that number.
I might have it from the original petition. Let me see. Or Peter Pittman, if you have it, I don't know if you do.
No, we don't, because we don't have detailed drawings of that building, because it's going to be torn down. We do have a footprint and just the lot area, so, but we don't have that at our fingertips.
It should be on the original petition, though. I've got it here, I think. Okay.
It was about 15,000 square feet.
I've got the original existing gross floor area, 25,000 square feet. Okay.
So I just want to make this statement for the neighborhood. You have 25,000 square feet of commercial space, and the traffic that goes with 25,000 square feet of commercial space versus 21 residential units. It's absurd. The traffic is so, and maybe it hasn't been used, but Mark, you and I have sat on this board for years, and all we did was take hearing after hearing with complaints about this building and trying to stop this and trying to stop that. Maybe it hasn't been used for a couple of years, so there's no traffic, but the fact is, there's a building there that could be reused, 25,000 square feet of commercial space, 4 times the traffic, unequivocally, without even looking it up in the ITE trip rates, versus a residential project. I mean, we can't leave this building here. It's not the right thing to do. I disagree with the attorney's position that we have to follow the law, whether we like it or not. But I think in this case we are. And we as a board have to be considerate, as it was when the mall was getting developed. This is not 20 acres of virgin farmland. This is one colossal monstrosity. It's 25,000 feet of commercial space in a residential neighborhood that you don't want to be left behind. You don't want to be the dog that caught the car. That's half my soliloquy. I'll save the other half for when the meeting closed.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna now make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call, so I'm a yes. Dan?
Yes.
Heather? Andy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Okay, so now that we've closed the public hearing, typically what we do is we have some discussion amongst the board before we have an actual vote, because the position has been to give a petitioner who wants to withdraw without prejudice an opportunity to withdraw without prejudice. And given the length of this hearing process, I see no reason why to change that courtesy that we provide to petitioners. So I think you know that I am a yes on this, and I would look to make a variance finding so that we don't get locked into the story definition and have a bad precedent potentially. And that's how I would get there. But I would invite, if you think, it sounds like Andy's absolutely a yes on the project.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
I want to address the the half-story portion.
Yes.
I think, you know, when we're talking 2.5 stories and just conceptual zoning, we're thinking that what we have is on the 3rd floor, half of that footprint is built and half of it isn't built. But you could still have a half story that building rung or ringed around the exterior of the walls, but in the center there was addition, there was no floor, 50% occupied, 50% was flat roof. You know, and it would read like 3 stories, but it would still be a half story. So, you know, whether the half story is above or below, it's 2.5 stories.
Yeah, my issue with the half story, I can follow your thinking,
On the variance
on the
argument?
variance because they can't go lower. I can see a basement as a half story if you know, you're on a slope and the majority of it is underground and there's a portion here, but I can't agree to an artificial lowering that's unnecessary, an unnecessary lowering of an interior ceiling that does not affect any of the exterior of the building, making something count as a half story. I can get there by the fact that they can't put any of this parking underground, and therefore there could be a variance. But I can't get there the other way.
I'm totally good with the variance. I think this is an absolute slam dunk for a variance because you can't put you're in a floodplain. You know, and then if it wasn't but for the floodplain, they put as Mark, the garage in the basement, and you know, under this thing, you're saving yourself like a half a story of building. So I'm totally with the variance, so that we don't have to argue over, you know, the upside down 2.5 story, however we talk about it. I'm totally on the variance. I mean, this is what variances are for.
Okay, all right, thank you, Andy. I'm gonna ask Dan next if he wants to make it. No requirements to make any comments, but I'm sure we're gonna hear.
Well, the problem I have with the variance is as I said the last meeting was, I agreed that it's unique land. And because of that, you know, you can't put the parking underneath. But you also have to show, that's only one half of the equation. The other half, you have to show there's a hardship. And I don't see how it's a hardship to be held to 2.5 stories. It's a 2.5 story building. I think a 2.5 story building can be put there. I don't think this is it, because I agree with Heather. I think I'm troubled that it's just, I think the 2.5 stories has been arrived at artificially, I think. I don't agree that you read the definition of gross floor area with the definition of story. I do not get the connection. The reference to 7 feet 3 inches in the gross floor area definition is just telling you when you count the attic. That's all. And then when you don't count the cellar. I don't know what that has to do with story. Story is a simple calculation. You know, is it 50% from the floor above or below or not? And I think that can be put here on this unique, you know, floodplain land. You can put a 2.5 story building here, but the developer does not want to do that. The developer wants to put it 3 stories. Yeah. And they've made it smaller, and I'm not really concerned about the height, but I think it's not a hardship to put 2.5 stories. They're just not going to get as many units as they want, and that's just the way I look at it. I'm just trying to follow the bylaw. I like the project, as I said before. I think it's nice looking. I think it would be a benefit to the community. I'm not concerned about the parking. So all those things that Attorney Quinn listed, as he did before, those are all great arguments. I don't disagree with him on any of those things. And is also the concern, as Mark says, you know, we worry something worse could go in there very easily, because this is a good project. Something far less desirable could go in there. That could happen, but that's not what drives me and how I make my zoning decisions because something worse could go in there. That's the case all the time. How many times have we heard that from attorneys, right? We've heard that a million times. Attorneys have actually threatened us with that.
We didn't threaten anybody.
You know? No, you haven't. No, you haven't. I'm saying that other attorneys have.
Well, don't blame me for what others have
Yeah,
done. okay?
other attorneys have.
Andy, let Dan finish.
So
and
that's
we'll go back to
that's
you.
a reality, you know, and that could happen here. The developer might say, you know, we're done, and something else, you know, that we really don't like could be shoved down our throat. And, but I think that, but I just can't get there on variance, and I can't subscribe to which I think is really an artificial, creation of the half-story. Yeah,
Dan,
Andy.
let me ask you a question. If on the first floor, at ground level, wherever ground level was, all they did was put 20 by 20 square foot lobby. In other words, you walked in the door, you opened the front doors, you walked into the lobby, you had an elevator bank, and then you went up to the next 2 floors that had, so it was really like a T standing above the ground. But, you know, it was only 400 square feet, the footprint's 10,000 square feet. But would you still call that a 3-story building? Or would you call that, I wouldn't call it a 3-story building.
Well, it would be because by the definition, because that space would be considered garage, storage, you know, all those things that were listed under what needed to be counted. Basement, garage, storage, I mean.
But that's why I see it, and I intend to, you know, to make a motion for a variance and to see if there are sufficient votes with specifically providing that we're not calling it a 2.5-story building. Paula, did you have any comments you wanted to make?
I actually think it's the best use for the space. I'm not quite sure what I think about the 2-3-story business. I'm still sort of, if we're dropping the ceiling, we've let people do that before. I'm not saying it's the best way to do things, but it you know, it is something we've done. I think I'm a yes. I'm just not quite sure if I could define the story stuff. I'm not there with that, but I think they've already changed the plans drastically. I think this is a much better offering than what we had originally. I think it's the best use. I know, Dan, like you said, that it shouldn't be the reason to vote, but I think it's the reason I'm going to vote.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So I'm going to make a motion to make findings that, due to the unique features of this lot, specifically that it is in a floodplain and that construction is not permitted or feasible below grade, to put the parking on this site, which is unique to this site, that we provide, that the petitioner has met the requirements for a variance. I'm gonna be careful here, I think I'm gonna get a dissenting opinion. So, let me just get to, section 5.6.0.0. Or 5.5.0.0. So, finding that owing to the circumstances relating to the soil conditions, which I find would not support use of this property below grade sufficient to support a lower deck of parking, and the brook that abuts it, that affect this land, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which it is located, that a literal enforcement of the provision concerning stories of this bylaw would involve substantial hardship to the petitioner in providing for the use that is proposed, which is providing housing units, including 3 affordable units that will benefit the town, and desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good, without nullifying substantially or derogating from the intent or purpose of the bylaw. And that the petitioner has demonstrated that the soil conditions are sufficient to support a finding of a hardship. And that the petitioner has met their burden for that hardship as it relates to the stories, and finding that this building is in fact 3 stories, and that is what the specific variance would be for. Additionally, the relief requested as outlined in the letter of Attorney Quinn for use, for building height, for building coverage at the 76.9%, parking relief for 32 spaces being required and 29 being provided, and the floodplain use, and site plan approval under 5.5.0.0, to permit the construction as shown on the revised elevation with the change of the 10 feet off of the structure from the side, and the site plan as amended showing the additional open space, with the property to be constructed in accordance with the plans that have been provided, and subject to the specific requirements as outlined by the building commissioner as to construction management plan, and as discussed at this meeting. And do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, I'm going to take a roll call now. I am a yes. Andy?
Yes.
Dan?
No.
Paula?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Mr. Quinn, I'd ask if you would provide me with a draft decision?
Yes,
Okay.
I will.
I thank everyone for their patience, their understanding, their input. I think everyone in this process has really tried to get to the right result. And if it's not the right result, Dan will be sure to inform me that this is another blemish on my record.
I'd
All right.
just like to say, I really appreciate all of you and those that are visiting or were here other evenings. You've given us a tremendous amount of your time and a very, very generous opportunity to come back on more than 1 or 2 occasions to try and meet your concerns. It's a much better project than it started out to be. I think, again, when you drive by it, you're not going to be ashamed that you approved it. You're going to be glad you approved it. But I just want to thank you. I mean, you're the epitome, whether you agree with us or not, of people that are really doing a great job for their community, public service at its best, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. We all care.
Appreciate that.
And appreciate everything that both you and the abutters have done on this one.
Marissa, thank you for everything.
Right, well, thank you. So I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you,
Second on
everyone.
that?
I'll second
Thanks,
that.
Peter.
Right.
All in favor?
Yes,
Aye.
thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.